It is time for Post Wrestling's Royal Rumble review. I am John Pollock, joined tonight on a Saturday with Mr. Wai Ting. We are here. We are ready to chat. How are you doing today?
Not bad, not bad. Yeah, afternoon show. So we well, when did you watch it?
So I watched it in spurts. I did not. I eventually caught up. I started late, and then this doesn't go for WWE or AEW. I cannot watch these shows live. It is just once I'm up to the point, I need to take a break and then just catch up later. It's not even a thing on the pacing. It's just I just can't do it live. It's my malfunction that I have.
Is it what like just the not even the commercial breaks?
It's all of this. It's just I can be getting through this faster and not sitting through like when there's literally the musical commercial break on Netflix. I'm like, I'm not sitting through this. So
Yeah,
I took a
that's
lot
right.
of breaks and such, and
Mhm.
eventually completed the show. Yourself? Did you just
I
watch it now?
I watched most of this live actually, so I
Oh,
managed to yeah we had some help at home, so I managed to be able to just take time off to like start this at 2 o'clock, and I watched pretty much up until the Rumble match itself, most of the Rumble match. So, but like I'm also not sitting through these commercials. I mean, I'm pausing partway through to like maybe catch up on my notes and whatnot, and by the time I actually finish the show, I haven't really watched any commercials.
I mean, these WWE PLEs, I find them to be somewhat closer now to UFCs, where it's like the match happens, and then there's a lot of downtime before the next match, and you can
Mhm.
sort of just take a break. Whereas AEW, it's kind of like they've got you locked,
Yep.
and they're just different. It's not like one's better than the other necessarily. Like there's positives and negatives with them.
Yep.
But that's how I'm typically watching these shows. Now, unlike SmackDown, though, this started 2 hours later,
Mhm.
and so that meant in Riyadh, it was a 10 p.m. start time
Yeah.
for the show itself, meaning this show concluded at 2 a.m. local time. And I don't know what the decision process was when SmackDown was 2 hours earlier, but I mean, the audience certainly like they had their ups and downs, but by the end of the Rumble, it's not like this was felt like a zapped crowd. But by
No.
the end of it, but that's late. I don't care what part of the world you're in. At 2 a.m. end time, it's and then this crew they had to do a post show after this in Riyadh afterwards. So I mean, this
Mhm.
production crew and all those folks, and then probably it's not a crazy turnaround until they have to get on a flight and head all the way back to the U.S. and you got Raw Monday.
It's been a crazy month of travel for everybody attached to this crew. So yeah, it continues really. But I mean, the 2 o'clock instead of the 12 o'clock. I wonder if there's something like would it have be an ESPN preference perhaps to delay the show by 2 hours? Could it be any? We have no idea. We don't really know. But
Yeah, I
it,
don't know. Obviously there was some logistical reason for doing it later than SmackDown. It could have been ESPN of looking at like 2 p.m. being more advantageous than 12. Maybe they didn't want to air against anything else at that time. I'm sure there was thinking that went into it.
but when you're talking about a four-match show with like really four of them feeling like pretty important matches, like you're gonna get a pretty engaged crowd, despite the length of or the timing of the show.
Well, we know here at Post Wrestling we have a very engaged crowd. In fact, the most engaged are the ones that are members of the Post Wrestling Cafe. And this is going to be our final warning to everybody out there that you get to capitalize. The final hours to beat the price increase are upon you. We are giving everyone until 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, February 1st, to lock in either an annual or monthly membership at the Post Wrestling Cafe. If you do so by 6 p.m., you will be able to lock in the old price for the remainder of 2026. For those of you that are already subscribers, you don't have to worry about this. The price will not be going up for you this year. So you do not have to fret that you are somehow missing out on this. But this is mainly for people that are interested in sampling the cafe. Now is a good time because you can lock in this old price. After Sunday, it will be the new $8 per month amount for new members at our regular level that comes with our XL versions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. Comes with bi-weekly Rewind Away shows, our TNA reviews, WWE Unreal, which we are continuing to release on a weekly basis throughout season 2, which we've already dropped 2 episodes for, and 3 more to come. UFC reviews, lots that you get above and beyond just the regular post-wrestling experience. So if you have been so curious, it's a great time to sign up. And of course, this is how we allow post-wrestling to continue onward. We put a lot of this back into the site with our various writers and podcasters as well. So you are helping fuel the post-wrestling engine.
The flywheel, if you will. Yeah. Thank you, everybody who's already signed up so far over the past month. A lot of you guys taking advantage of it. And we hope to earn every single dollar that, you guys provide us by just making this whole thing as great as it can be. So looking forward to a great 2026. And we hope a lot of you guys will join us in these last few hours.
So with all that said, we are going to be going into the Royal Rumble from Saturday afternoon at the KAFD, the makeshift stadium that was promoted throughout the week in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. And Michael Cole stating on the pre-show that over 25,000 were expected, and this stadium, the size of 17 football fields, and later calling it a sellout as well. CM Punk was there in Riyadh and was featured on the panel and never featured on the show itself. I was curious if maybe he would have any kind of appearance on the main show itself, but he was limited to the panel, where some of his highlights included learning about the nickname that Big E has given to Oba Femi's fans, the Oba Feminists, and also being the adult in the room that states, I don't find the Titus O'Neil fall at the Greatest Royal Rumble funny, because if it was a few inches off, Titus might not be here today.
Good for Punk for trying to change the narrative.
Amazing, like an adult looking at this situation instead of he who is not going to be mentioned on these shows, who could not replay that particular highlight more often than one Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Haha, he almost died.
Maybe we could finally put that to rest.
Yes. I also want to make mention off the top, because I think it is specific to myself included here, was Paul Levesque's announcement. This did air during the pre-show. They also reiterated it during the main show about Backlash that is going to be taking place on Saturday, May the 9th. And we had reported a month ago that this was slated to be May 9th in San Juan, Puerto Rico. The announcement comes, and it is actually going to be taking place in Tampa, Florida. So, in just reaching out to people today to figure out what was the miscommunication here, the people we reached out to, Brandon and I, because we had both reported on this, they were very surprised by this. And I can say 100% that on the internal calendar in WWE, this event was listed for San Juan, Puerto Rico. And what the change in location, I haven't been able to ascertain yet, but certainly we reported this and it's our story here. So I'm not going to shy away from that, but I felt very confident here. This was through multiple sources and was listed for San Juan on the calendar, but I can't tell you why, but this is now the new location for the event that this will be 3 weeks after WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas. Okay. Backlash, Tampa.
So we wait to see if Puerto Rico will get another show at another point.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen, but that, from my understanding, that was where the event was going to be taking place. But that was announced on today's show. They did a video with Paul Levesque and then repeated it during the broadcast itself. We also had Fad Tway, who is the Saudi Arabian wrestler that they have recently signed. He was on the Countdown show on Friday and then interviewed on the pre-show. There were sit-downs with Shawn Michaels and Sami Zayn, and a bit of an angle when Paul Heyman confronted Adam Pearce on the panel, complaining about Braun Breaker being the number 2 entrant in the Royal Rumble. Pearce explaining that it was a random draw, and Heyman telling him, "You want to play FAFO with me? I'll play FAFO with you."
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to an FAFO match between Adam Pearce and Paul Heyman.
I mean, are there? Can they not cuss on ESPN?
Probably not, I guess. We know they can on Netflix, so I guess ESPN has similar rules here. So it is
FAFO.
Is this the new GFY?
Perhaps, yeah.
FAFO. And then we go into the show itself. The pre-show was 2 hours of hype. So the arrivals way, we get everyone arriving at the building, and of course, who gets his own isolated arrival than Paul Levesque? And this was amazing. We go from Paul Levesque's arrival to the arena into the opening video package that features Paul Levesque going through all the Rumble history and past winners, informing us the Royal Rumble is more than a match. It's a decision. And then we go to Levesque in the middle of the ring watching shots of himself on the screen. I was like, dude, this is insane. Like, this is insane. Like, the Dana Whiteification of Paul Levesque. This would be like if Dana White, though, was a former like light heavyweight champion and then became the CEO of the UFC. At least there is that divide. There is not with this man. And like video game covers, headlining the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's just, he is the main character of this show. I mean, look, our WrestleMania campaign is built around him. He is the face of WWE, and I will not hear anyone dispute this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the way that Dana White is the face of the UFC, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he is very much. I mean, his name is on the top every single time one of these shows ends. So he is the writer of the show. He is the first person you think of when you think of this brand at this point. And I wonder how much of it is due to him and how much of it is a directive from people that are higher up in him that want him to be this sort of person.
I think they look at him like he is our Dana, and I think that, you know, just the positions that he is in, like this is somebody that I think they want in that kind of role as well.
And why? Why do you think?
I don't know if it's just they look at, like, let's remember when Endeavor bought the UFC, like Dana White was critical to that deal. And then when they merged with WWE, Vince McMahon was essential, like to the point they gave up equity stake for Vince. I think it's like from Ari Emanuel's experience, I think he wants that person. I don't know if he necessarily views Levesque as indispensable as Vince McMahon was, at least in his view. But I think they have very much crafted these brands as having a face that is going to do the lion's share of the media and is going to be that figure that is not going to retire, that's not going to leave us, that is not going to get injured. Like, he is the constant in this revolving door of characters and wrestlers. Like, Paul Levesque is their signature figure. And it's just like this opening. I don't know how you just, why it's Paul Levesque is the star of all of this.
No, he's essentially like the mascot, like, again, the Mickey Mouse of the brand, if you want to call him that. But I mean, I think, you know, for TKO, I mean, he's certainly a bit more reliable than really anybody you could hire on this roster who may eventually, you know, go and work for the competition. I mean, with the stake that Levesque has in this company, it's very unlikely that he will ever not work for this company and choose to work for another one. Of course, there's also the distancing from the Vince McMahon, you know, being that person for a long, long time that I think they still continue to want to do. And I think a lot of that is probably Levesque himself maybe wanting to be the center of attention, as he has for pretty much this entire run.
Don't make accusations.
As GM. Should we do a pointing photo? Me and you? Just here.
Huh? Yes. You know, I watched enough takeovers. I mean, it was hardly ever visible to have Paul Levesque there. Maybe we'll get the updated signature. Out goes then, now, together, forever, and it'll be dun 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 dun. It's what we do.
It's a choice.
It's not a decision. It's not a match. It's a choice. So into the show we go. And again, this is starting 10 p.m. local time. And we have a sponsor, among them, Dodge Ram. And I was able to detect that Dodge Ram was a sponsor, not just from the logos in the ring, not just because Drew McIntyre happened to have a brand new Dodge Ram that he pulled up during his entrance, but just in case you missed any of those, they just planted a giant Dodge Ram on the stage for everyone to walk by as they entered.
Well,
a truck.
I guess add that to the totals of the show and how much it might have generated in revenue.
Well,
I'm
the
surprised they didn't
announcers
do
are
a spot.
with the truck. No, they could
Yeah.
have. I guess they missed out.
Hmm.
The announcers are Michael Cole and Wade Barrett for the whole show, and we're starting off with the Women's Royal Rumble, where they announce every 90 seconds new entrants will be entering, and we start off with the Friends of Convenience, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Uh-oh. The luck of the draw here. They end up starting together, and boy, did we get some 90 seconds of just amazing friendship in action. I would hope, Wade, that if you and I ever started a Royal Rumble, this would be our moveset that we would employ on one another. Bliss wants to just wait out the clock for number 3, and then each goes after the other, but lets them up like they're just fooling around, including a Sister Abigail tease, a figure 8 tease, and then they hug at the end of this. Heartwarming.
They try, and I think for a certain section of the audience, maybe it's still working. But for me, this whole like we're trying to pretend we're not friends, but we are really best friends shtick, I think has been pretty tough to watch for a while.
Yeah, I didn't think this was off to a great start. I felt this was just a waste of time, but I'm going to be told that this was like cinema or something. Number 3 was Kiana James, who Wade Barrett. He had some great lines on this show. One of them being, Kiana is not one of the favorites to win. Like, okay, loud and clear. I've heard this. And so it's 2-on-1 with Bliss and Charlotte. 4th is Nia Jax. And I did enjoy, like, this is continued kind of in the Lee Fitting era of, if there is a match that is able to be, to cross over with real sports and the reliance on stats, this match is one of them. And they make great utilization of the ticker. There's constant stats, how many people have been out, how many eliminations there are, and getting all these little facts about each person as they enter. I like that about both Rumbles.
Yeah, I agree. It started, I think, years ago, but now they continue to evolve it. I think there's probably even more they could do with that ticker.
So, of course, this being Saudi Arabia, we have all of the women in the outfits. Probably quite the task for all the seamstresses out there. And so Nia Jax is out, and she looks toward the crowd and starts doing the suck it gesture.
It's because they were chanting "You can't wrestle," and I guess Nia was telling them what she thought of them.
I'm just wondering what would have been more offensive if she had like showed off her arm or like showing like, yeah, suck it.
I guess you could get away with a whole lot, except
okay. I'm just trying to get all the rules out here. Ivy Nile is out 5th, and miraculously she got quite a lot of "You suck" chants in the style of Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I'm guessing this is just a takeoff of the whole Chad Gable theme and therefore Kurt Angle theme.
I'm just amazed Ivy Nile got any type of reaction when she came out. I mean, she's kind of disappeared again from television. Wade does remind us of her Pitbull mentality. And that takes us to number 6, Lola Vice, the first of many NXT women that were in this match as they promoted her triple threat North American title match on Tuesday. And she immediately is hitting her rapid fire kicks and goes for her hip attack as Wade yells that she can shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Thank you, Wade. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
20-year-old. Well, it's still relevant, of course. I thought she got a pretty decent reaction. Really, like most of the NXT stars, like kind of had that special attraction, feeling attached to them. And she got a good reaction. I thought her kicks looked tremendous as usual.
Yes, as I learned on this broadcast, this crowd, like, they were pretty involved when it came to, like, they knew all the NXT people. They don't watch any AAA. That was my conclusion.
AAA, not so much. And I think if you're in the mid card of SmackDown, they might not care that much for you either.
Well, that tag division is rough. Yeah. 7th is Candice LeRae, who reunites with Nia Jax. What a reunion, Way.
They were trying to build this up in ring as if it was like something we were all supposed to remember. I have zero recollection.
Like, I know this existed, but it occupies nothing in my memory bank.
No one remembers this relationship. No.
8th is Jordan Grace. And is this new? This like line off the top of her new theme? It's not over till I win.
I don't remember. I could have sworn she had the sirens. Did she still have sirens? I don't know.
I don't remember this line being off the top, but I learned that this match is still ongoing because she did not win this match.
Neil brought up last night how, this has been an ongoing issue with prior rumbles, especially the women's rumbles, where like very few, not many of them have like recognizable theme songs, and half of the themes we heard here, I don't know if we would have heard prominently like on many broadcasts. So you're left kind of wondering, who is this again? What is this? And
I felt like an idiot for some of these because I went to type for some of these. This person has a new theme, and then I started thinking, I was like, these might not be new themes.
No.
I just don't know if Austin Theory's been coming out to this. This has been his singles theme forever. I have no idea.
Yeah. Case in point, when it comes to like, you know, people being not on the main roster, perhaps getting a bigger reaction. Like Jordynne Grace got less of a reaction for her entry this year than she did when she entered as the TNA Knockouts champion. So I mean, what does that tell you about maybe spending a year in NXT, where I don't know she really gained all that much. But I mean, there is something to be said about like feeling a bit more special, being, you know, from a crossing a forbidden door of some sort. But, you know, at this point, Grace, I don't think has been that well integrated into the show yet.
Well, Grace does get a couple of eliminations here. The first of the match, sending out Candice LeRae and Lola Vice, if you had them in your pool. Then she dumps out Ivy Nile with this uppercut, and Jax goes on to the edge with Alexa Bliss, and Flair boots Jax out, but in doing so, also knocks Alexa Bliss out, her partner.
Yeah, she looked really sad about that.
Yes. So ninth is Becky Lynch, and so we get the showdown between Becky and Charlotte Flair. Sol Ruca is 10th, and she ends up, Sol Ruca lasts right until the end of this, so they let her be in she got one of the biggest spotlights of this whole Rumble as well. And she did the springboard buckshot lariat to enter the ring, hitting Charlotte Flair and Kiana James before squaring off with Becky. Roxanne Perez is in 11th after she set the record for the longest time in any women's Rumble last year. Maxine Dupree is 12th, and she goes right after Becky and hits a German. And then number 13, as Michael Cole tells us, Wade, it's not Natalya, it's Natty.
That's right. Yes. Her proper debut under this character with like the theme music and everything.
I'm going to recognize the proper debut as her Instagram post this week.
Oh, did she do a proper? Okay. I did not see that. All right.
Oh, you're in for a treat if you.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that very unfortunate photo.
Yes.
I gotta bring this up.
This is one, like, maybe if we add like most puzzling social media decisions of the year, nothing's topping this. This is the Tanahashi Okada of that award.
I can't believe she.
For those that are listening to this, and I'm sure you've probably seen this, this is an upright Natty standing up, urinating on a gravestone that reads WWE Superstar Natalya. That leaves you with so many more questions than any answer could provide.
I mean, if the goal is to become provocative, I suppose she managed that, but I don't know if that's necessarily. I don't know. Yeah,
too many questions.
Yeah. This feels it's like a total Divas episode where, like, you know, she's going back and forth, like she's trying to come up with the best social media strategy to introduce this new character, and like Jim Neidhart would have, like, you know, or like her mother would have somehow like recommended this, and then
what happens when Bruce Hart learns AI and steals a phone?
Right. Yeah.
So out comes Natty, and Maxine gets hit with a manhandle slam, and it's just thrown out by Becky. I mean, Maxine is totally forgettable here. And then Becky goes for Natty after trying to like work with her, and then begs off as Natty just lifts up Becky and dumps her out. Kind of like an unceremonious exit for Becky, who's only in this match for a couple of minutes. And I would say after this, it felt much less of a Natty Maxine focus than Natty Becky Lynch.
Well, she stated in her prior promo of wanting to go for Becky's IC championship, so they're just seemingly speeding that up. But I have to say, I felt like the elimination itself probably needed a little bit more struggle, or a little bit more drama, or just a little bit more flash. You know, the way it was positioned, really like
Becky, you could argue was like at worst the second or third biggest name in this whole Rumble, and it was just sort of a kind of in and out. And
it wasn't like, I get the booking, you know, you want to make Natalya look like the monster and just like lift Becky over the top rope, but it almost felt like too cooperative. Like, if you know Becky Lynch, this just wouldn't make sense, right? So I think it needed to be a bit more of a struggle just to even be a bit more memorable.
Liv Morgan is 14th, and then 15th is Lash Legend, who was another big feature in this Royal Rumble, who they were going to look to make a big statement with. And Legend immediately eliminates Jordynne Grace. Zelina Vega is 16th. Sadly, she came out to no reaction. And what was weird here is that this was one of those weird disappearing last names a few months ago when she went from Zelina Vega to Zelina. And her video, as she comes out, reads Zelina Vega. But in her graphic, and as has been the case for months, she is just referred to as Zelina.
I think there are a lot of inconsistencies with her because, frankly, she's just not that important of a character at present time. Like she's the manager for Aleister Black at present, and she doesn't even have updated music. Like her music is, the same Megan Thee Stallion ripoff that she's had for like since before the character changed to the Aleister Black, type of darker role, and they haven't updated it. So you have like gothy font and graphics and what feels more of a gothy look, and then like a Megan Thee Stallion ripoff rap song playing in the background.
Yeah, I mean, she's had a struggle these last couple of months because there was a period they had something with Zelina, and that has been lost. Raquel Rodriguez is 17th, so now we have all three Judgment Day members in with Perez and Liv. And Raquel boots Kiana James, who had lasted quite a while in this Rumble, and this is the most noteworthy thing Kiana has done on the main roster. And the Judgment Day have a group hug. 18th is Chelsea Green, and of all the outfits, hers was the best. It was made out of newspaper headlines, and comes out and tries to align with the Judgment Day, but gets rejected, and is involved in a tug of war as Elba Fire gets pulled into the ring. Elba Fire got thrown over like 100 times, even though she's not in the match. And then Julia was 19th. She used to be wrestling in Japan. She was with Stardom, and then she went to NXT, and she's been on the main roster for most of 2025 and is on her second reign as Women's U.S. Champion.
Cool. Interesting. I look forward to seeing a lot more of her.
Yeah, it's early stages, so we're going to learn a lot more about her in the weeks to come. Io Sky was 20th, followed by Asuka at 21, and Sky, Asuka, and Julia all go at it as Michael Cole just getting ready from Stardom and Pro Wrestling Wave to the WWE.
Yep.
His favorite, the Joshi head, Michael Cole. Rhea Ripley is 22nd, might have been the biggest reaction of anyone in this Women's Rumble. They went nuts for Rhea Ripley. And Wade Barrett emphasizes how big of a star she is, noting that you've got to be a really big star to get pyro for a Royal Rumble entrance. So that's how,
sure. Yeah, that works.
A big deal. Mm-hmm. Vega gets eliminated by Arrivederci by Julia on the apron. Rhea pretends to salute Chelsea and then tosses her out with Elba Fire. And then Rhea stops a Pop Rocks and delivers a Razor's Edge, sending Roxanne over the top to the floor for the elimination. Bayley is out 23rd. Charlotte has been in this the whole time since number one. She has surpassed 41 minutes at this point. And we're also getting several elimination teases by Sol Ruka, kind of our pretty much there is the Iron Man or woman, there is the monster role to rack up eliminations, and there's the Kofi Kingston role as well. That's another role that we should we got Javon Evans and Sol Ruka playing those roles in these matches. JC Jane, the NXT Women's Champion, is 24th coming out, and we also get another history lesson, way that Natty is upset because 3 years ago, Rhea Ripley took her out on her birthday, preventing her from having a match here in Saudi Arabia.
I don't doubt that existed. It just requires a bit of reminding, and maybe they can even show us the footage at some point if they choose to go that path.
So Natty's on the outside apron and gets hit with an Oblivion, and in Liv hitting it, it bounces Natty off the ropes and sends her flying to the floor, which was quite the utilization of the Oblivion. So that was the end of Natty, not Natalia. 25th is Nikki Bella, who is met with chants of "Thank you, Cena," as she yells, "Thank me! Thank me!" Lyra Valkyria, the Bird Lady, is out 26th to work with Bayley, and they square off with Julia. 27th is Kalani Jordan, who comes in with a Phoenix splash onto JC Jane. That's how she enters. She knew, I've got like 3 minutes in this Rumble. I'm going to do as much as I possibly can. She had the right idea in mind here. 28th is Kairi Sane, who was in fact in the Rumble. Flair has now surpassed 50 minutes, and Sane and Asuka go after Rhea, and she nearly runs into Asuka. Sane is holding on to her partner and then goes for a sliding lariat, misses Io, and knocks out Asuka. I love this elimination. And Asuka throws a gasket onto Kairi, screaming her name. And then Sky throws out Sane from behind, as Wade notes, what a complete disaster for the Kabuki Warriors. So I like this. I think we're going to get the breakup of the Kabuki Warriors.
You think so? Monday?
I think so.
I feel like it's too soon.
Too soon?
I think they'll play this up a little longer. Yeah.
29th was, I guess, the kind of the outside of the NXT women, like the only like big surprise was Brie Bella, who comes out and the crowd was like, well, this is the closest we've got to Bryan Danielson. So they all just chant yes. And then she does the yes kicks as Michael Cole announced, you know who she's paying homage to? No, Michael, please tell us. Tell us, the viewers, who is she paying homage to? We can't say his name.
I mean, it was his sort of way of implying that it was paying homage to The Miz, I believe, like as a joke.
Okay.
Yeah.
She hugs
These
Nikki.
kicks look about as as they always do, which is like not very good. But the worst was like Raquel Rodriguez selling them, and she's recoiling, and then Brie actually stops kicking. And she does the thing where she continues the recoil for phantom kicks even afterwards. So the whole thing did not look very good.
There was some rough stuff in this match. Like, it had its moments, but there was definitely some sloppiness in this match. What I still enjoy, and this is obviously not a new talking point, but I do love how like her big fire up is Brie mode. Like as she's hitting all this, which is like the genesis of that is when she would get like fucking shit faced drunk, and that is the spirit animal of Brie mode.
Well, when you
maybe she's honoring like the genesis of Brie mode when she's delivering these kicks. Like, this is what these kicks would look like.
Have you ever had a fight with a drunk person? I mean, you don't want to mess with somebody like that. They have no idea. They have no way to feel pain. So this is just her channeling that. But yeah, I'm happy for her to get this moment, especially like her kids, who I don't think have ever. Well, I don't know how often her kids would have had a chance to see her wrestle.
Not since they would have been
like when was she last active? When
20...
did she last have
Well, she did the comeback.
Yeah,
she's done some rumbles over the years. Yeah,
she has.
Okay. Yeah, but this is going to be like she is coming in here, and I think we're going to get the tag run here with Nikki. So I think we will get
2022. She was in the Rumble.
Right.
Yeah.
That was her last match?
Yeah, and then 2018 before that.
Gotcha. And then 30th is the returning Tiffany Stratton. So that is all of the entrance. She enters with a swanton, and Wade Barrett.
I thought Stratton's look with this white suit actually looked like really great. Like if I would consider keeping this.
You do have to say that the outfits all looked like none of the, you would think like with this many that some people would just look identical to each other and stuff, but they all kind of had something to them. I mean, we have come a ways from the what was it? The oversized pajama party that the early women's matches featured.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like the women are seemingly, they have now, for all of these Saudi events, they've kind of taken these as opportunities to like express themselves in different ways. And in many cases, I think they come to like a very like unique, creative, way of like dealing with this, if you want to call it a limitation. But in the case of like Stratton, I would actually consider adopting this look even afterwards. I thought it kind of made her stand out and made her look like a superhero.
Do you think they're just going to take all these 30 outfits and put them in like a locker in Riyadh and keep for Mania next year? Or are they going to just get all new outfits next year?
I think they'll probably want to get new outfits.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like going into an award show. You don't want to wear the same
That's
thing
true.
twice.
That's true. Wade refers to the interview he conducted with Charlotte and Tiffany last year as one of the biggest disasters of all time. They truly hate each other. And, of course, Charlotte is still in the ring here.
I mean, Unreal kind of killed, any sort of believability to that.
Well, that was a work. They really do hate each other now.
Oh, right.
That's
Yes,
what you're
of course.
supposed to
Yeah,
take from
got
this.
it.
The crowd's really hot at this point. They're singing Olay. Brie got an enormous reaction, so that kind of elevated things
Mm-hmm.
here. And now we're into the closing stretch. The Bellas eliminate both Lyra and Bailey with head scissors over the top rope from like a skin the cat spot, and they. Like Nikki and Brie just start doing yes chants. I think Nikki is just a baby face now that Brie's back. I think
It was very
that was the
amusing.
turn.
It was amusing to see because like she comes out and she's the total heel. The crowd's chanting "Thank you, Cena." She's saying "Thank me, thank me." Brie comes in and
Babyface.
suddenly like everybody's yesing and the team is a baby face. She as a solo is a heel apparently, but that was interesting. Yeah.
JC Jane super kicks Kalani Jordan and she's skinning the cat. And then, so she's out. There's a soul snatcher to Jane. She's dumped out. And they did make a point of Sol Ruka eliminating the NXT women's champion. So maybe they'll follow up there.
Mm-hmm.
Lash catches both Bellas and tosses both over. This crowd was livid that the Bellas were out. There were so loud boos for Lash Legend eliminating the Bellas. Flair and Lash end up on the edge of the apron. There's chops to Lash, and then Flair gets caught with a pump kick as Lash eliminates Charlotte Flair, who lasts 59 minutes and 49 seconds, the longest in the Women's Rumble. 7 women remain. Io, God bless her. I don't know what her strategy was here. She goes for like a knee bar on Io Sky as she's hanging off of the apron, and Lash just drills her with this brutal kick to the face to eliminate Io. I thought Io was dead.
It was a pretty hard sounding thud, to the ground. And you could see
we just never saw her again. Like they didn't check in on her. It was just like this thud. And she just went so hard into the mat. Hopefully she was fine.
Hope she's okay. But I mean, listen, it made Lash Legend look amazing.
So, Lash, they made Lash look like, to me, all the stuff with Nia Jax was just kind of window dressing. This felt like the debut of Lash Legend on the main roster was this match. Rhea then clotheslines Lash, who gets eliminated, as Michael Cole calls it, after a legendary performance. And then there's a Tejana bomb as Raquel eliminates Rhea Ripley. Liv comes from behind, dumps out her teammate Raquel Rodriguez, who is pissed. And it's down to Liv, Tiffany Stratton, and Sol Ruka, who is still here. There's a PME onto Liv, double soul snatcher onto both women. All 3 women end up hanging from the top rope. They land on the edge. A lot of apron spots in this Rumble. Ruka then kicks off of the post and ends up getting sent off the apron by Tiffany Stratton. She's gone, and the close is Liv hitting an oblivion, but using the post and sending Stratton out in 67 minutes as Liv Morgan, who was the betting favorite, wins her first Royal Rumble. And it was Charlotte lasting the longest and Lash with the most eliminations with 5. I would say the strong portion of this was like the last 10 to 12 minutes or so. Crowd was very hot. They got really big reactions for Brie, for Rhea Ripley, and the closing stretch. I really enjoyed it with the final 3 of this match. But what did you think of the Rumble?
I actually felt like this Rumble dragged for most of its duration.
It did.
And to me, it really highlighted the lack of depth in the mid card. Like with low to no reactions for people like Julia, Kiana James, Alina, Maxine, Ivy Nile, Jordan Grace. And I know this is often an issue with like Rumbles, right? But it felt to me a bit more pronounced in this one, especially like to me, like this very much felt like an assessment of how neglected so much of this roster is, particularly on SmackDown. I mean, they've had airtime for a lot of these women, but that airtime has not really gone to good use. In the case of Julia and Kiana James, for instance, even Maxine, like coming out of this whole Becky thing, I wouldn't necessarily say she's looked at as any sort of more serious contender, despite all the airtime that they gave her. But for me, the big turning point of this match was the return of Brie Bella, which like I understand wanting to use the Rumble to like give your NXT showcases and those kind of now being your surprises, but it does kind of take away that element of like anybody being able to show up into these Rumbles. And so we haven't really had that sort of like what the fuck moment. Not that Brie Bella is, but she's somebody who's off the roster and somebody that like, a secret that was pretty well guarded. Like I haven't seen at least the rumor. We saw Nikki Bella's ear. I guess we didn't see who was sitting next to Nikki Bella because I thought the Brie Bella actually came like that entry actually felt like a surprise and it engaged this crowd. So, I thought it was a chance to pair the Bella Twins now with the rest of the Modern Tag Division, and it was a highlight. We also had the big reintroduction of Natalia, and I thought they made effort to try to show like the power difference of this Natty versus Natalia, and having her be able to stand toe to toe with Rhea Ripley, and obviously with the easy Becky elimination. Although I didn't think it looked as great, so we'll see how well they do beyond the Rumble. Last Legend, total highlight. You know, they gave her a monster push, and I thought she looked very convincing. I thought the charisma really came through, and they made this a very memorable, like what felt like a real coming out party for her.
It makes it interesting what they do with Lash after this, because I don't know what the obvious pathway is for her. Like, I don't see her in any kind of title picture. It remains to be seen what maybe the tag scene looks like, as they've tried to put a bit more emphasis on the women's tag division. And I think coming out of this, the Bellas will be in a prominent role together, I would assume, in that tag scene. The question becomes, are they coming out of this match as heels, as baby faces? Because I think that they're going to be fighting the crowd if they try to keep Nikki as a heel here when Brie is back. And I think you're going to have a similar reaction when they appear on TV together.
I think they'll have to make a decision. And the fact that like we just had Nikki do a heel turn, it feels kind of weird to have her just turn back to a babyface. My feeling is that they'll have maybe Brie pretend to be a babyface for like one night before like fully turning. But I also thought the final three was really well done. You know, taking a blonde from both from all of Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, and having them like essentially like do this wonderful sequence. They almost had like a mini match all on the apron with three people, and I thought it came across really well. Sol Ruka, I thought, was also one of the big standouts in this.
She looked really good in this match, and I think that I almost feel like she's going to be one where I think they're going to want to maybe wrap her up with like the Zarya program, and maybe that's like Stand and Deliver, and she's a post-Mania call-up. I just think like there's so much going on at the moment to make her the latest. But man, they put a lot of focus on her, and this is Saturday night's main event, now in the Rumble as well.
That really is your big question. It's that like, you know, she's not she had such a prominent role tonight, and she's really at the top of people's minds. Do you capitalize on that, or do you like, you know, risk waiting another 4 months for people to like get more familiar with her and maybe, you know, not look at her as special? I don't think that'll be the case with her. Like, you wonder if she should hold the NXT championship just to like be able to say she had that run. But I think if they debuted her tomorrow, I don't think anybody would complain. Certainly, she has the potential certainly to be the you know, the biggest star of the women's call-up. Certainly, I guess that would only include Jordan Grace at the moment, but you know, certainly more invested in Ruka right now.
The last question regarding the winner: do you see any chance of a title change with Vaquer and Raquel on Monday? And if not, like, do you just keep this as? I think it's fairly certain it's not going to be Liv and Jade Cargill at Mania, but can you see Liv with Vaquer? Is that what you see as the direction here?
The alternative, are you suggesting Raquel winning the championship and then Liv and Raquel?
I mean, you did like the elimination here. I mean, there is an interesting story there where it's like, would Liv choose to take on Raquel at Mania? But I think the more straightforward path is Vaquer.
Yeah, I don't think Raquel is like really at this point a big enough name to like carry the championship towards the Rumble. I would still go with Vaquer over her. But I don't know if I see Vaquer holding the championship. I think there might be another path for them, and therefore maybe it'd be Liv versus somebody else. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're pretty high on Vaquer. I imagine her probably holding this belt through. But there you go. That was the women's Royal Rumble, and then to follow that, it is Gunther and AJ Styles going on second, where if AJ Styles loses, he will retire. And there is nothing more definitive than putting up your career in the Wingstop match of the night.
Sure.
Oh, hail. And we got Dan Engler, Rudy Charles as the referee, and out they come. This might be the most... do you think this is the hottest AJ has been in his 10 years in WWE these past couple of weeks? Like, I feel this past week was maybe the most over this guy has felt in terms of importance.
Maybe other than like his debut and maybe like that those first few
Sure,
months. I mean,
sure.
you could
But
maybe look at like his run as SmackDown champion as a pretty prominent one, but like being the center of attention, you can argue on the entire show ahead of
I
both
feel this
Rumble
match
matches.
meant the most on this show. And I think
Yeah,
that
sure.
I I really feel this felt like the main event on the show.
Yeah.
So Gunther works a headlock early on, and the crowd is just, they would have these spurts throughout the show where they'd just be up, they'd be dancing, they'd be singing. Just go. Did you want to talk a little bit about this bizarre stadium that feels like it's a bit of an optical illusion? Because if you were watching, like, the way it looks is that because of these like LED lights that they've got, it sometimes looks like there are not people in these spots. But I saw enough videos that there were definitely people in all of these. But I think it's very deceptive if you're just watching on screen. And the Intuit Dome in California is very much like this, where they have these lights. And that was the case on SmackDown and here. But like this place, if you saw a lot of the videos that were coming out of those that were actually in the stands, like it looked totally full, but it didn't always reflect that on the broadcast, where it was tough to actually see that there were people when these lights were on.
Yeah. I think it certainly like a hard cam side. I felt was, you could say, was pretty full, but I mean, I think our eyes are maybe conditioned to looking for those LED lights as signs of whether or not those seats are filled. And I don't think that's really reliable, because like people could be sitting down, you could still see those LED seats, but then other times there are sections of the crowd where like you can't see them. So it's kind of hard to be able to like even spot like empty seats just with these shots just kind of moving by. But I mean, I thought you could see enough like full view shots throughout the night to be able to say that this was certainly fuller than SmackDown was.
Yeah. I think
but
the number they gave on the broadcast was 18,000, whatever stock you want to put into that. Whereas tonight they were promoting this as like a sellout of like the 25,000 that this could hold.
I mean, sellout, I guess I don't know, but also don't expect we'll have any
I don't know if
concrete
we're going to get a
either way.
number for this one, at least a reliable one.
Yeah.
They made a lot of money for this show. I think that's what you can bottom line. So there's a spot where AJ gets dumped onto the desk, and this appears to be the spot where he cut his forearm, and this looked like a nasty cut that he had to work pretty much the next 20 minutes with this cut on his forearm. Didn't affect the performance, but was there for most of it. He fights back after getting bullied by Gunther, hits a Ushigoroshi, but then it's that goddamn dinosaur dropkick that sends him into the corner, and a powerbomb hit by Gunther, but Styles knows he's got the calf crusher in his back pocket, which he applies. Gunther played great here because he knew this thing was kryptonite, and he needed to get to the rope and avoid this thing at all costs, playing off of the Raw match. And Styles would hit his own powerbomb, follows with a springboard 450, and then manages to get Gunther up for the Styles clash, which Gunther kicks out of. And this crowd they were so invested in AJ winning this match. The phenomenal forearm gets caught, and Gunther goes for his first sleeper. And this is what AJ realizes is kryptonite if he gets caught in this thing. And he fights his way free, and they did the spot where Gunther kicks him low with the ref missing it into the powerbomb, which is how he won on Raw, but this time AJ kicks out. So Gunther annihilates him with chops, and this was weird because Gunther is just destroying this guy with chops in the corner. You could almost say it was like he was Shinya Hashimoto with the overhand chops in the corner. And Dan Engler stops Gunther so he can check on AJ. It was like, what is Gunther doing here that is illegal? He's not holding he doesn't have a hold applied at a count of 5. He's hitting him with blows. If you got to stop him, then the match should be over, right?
I'm sure there's some sort of like rule.
These are legal strikes.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like maybe
he's just like, hold on, what are you doing?
Maybe he thought this was boxing for a second, and you can't just like pummel an opponent into a corner.
Well, he fights back. Another phenomenal forearm is caught, and he's put back into the sleeper. And AJ gets to his feet, and the crowd roars. And then Gunther just completely takes the air out of the balloon by pulling him back to the mat, mounts the back of AJ, and traps the arm. He's away from the rope, and AJ's arm goes down, and the bell is rung at 24 minutes and 5 seconds as Michael Cole announces that his career fades to black. That was a little Frankie Kazarian nod. And what they did here was, instead of just immediately playing the music, they did a shorter version of what they did when Brock pinned Taker, where it's just silence for the whole crowd to absorb the weight of this loss. And then Gunther's music plays. I thought it was awesome as AJ's career comes to a wing stop.
Very good. Yeah. I thought it was a beautiful match.
I thought this was great. I mean, for whatever you want to state about, like, I thought that this was the way to do it. Of like, if you want to go out, this was a dramatic way to do it. If you're AJ Styles, man, you caught lightning in a bottle these last couple of weeks, where there was so much interest in this match, and you just went out in such a dramatic way that I really thought this was well done. This was my favorite thing on the show, was this match, because I just thought it was so simple, but it was, to me, will be the match that is most remembered from this show.
I thought it was like a great wrestling match that escalated into like a really good fight. It was hard hitting. There was a bit of blood in there. I would say, like, of maybe like the great retirement matches of the past, I don't know if it like had the level of emotion that maybe like I don't know, you could say like a Ric Flair retirement may have, but I appreciated the attempt at a more realistic presentation rather than having like an "I'm sorry, I love you" type of moment, or like the John Cena smiling as he passes out type of theatrics, or taps out, out of those retirement matches.
You imagine AJ's goofy grin as he goes to sleep.
Yeah, like, I thought it was plenty dramatic, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't overly dramatic to the point where you feel like this is something being scripted. I mean, this felt like the ending of a realistic fight, or as realistic as somebody like having a
this is like, if you are a combat sports fan, like in boxing or MMA, like, this is typically how these types of fights, where it's like Ken Shamrock fighting Tito Ortiz, where it's like there was so much people just wanting Ken Shamrock to turn the clock back, but it's like you're fighting a guy who's in his prime, and these are the types of, like, the harsh realities of the aging popular fighter that falls to the guy in his prime.
Yeah. There's no, like, even a cliche 3-arm lift.
I would have hated if they did the 3 arms. I really like that they just did the one here, because I understand the 3 arms. There's a certain dramatic flair to it, but man, it's cartoonish, and in this context, I think it would have hampered it a little for me if they.
It would have just kind of taken you out of it, because the man, like, I thought AJ did it wonderfully. He had the arm straight out, reaching for the rope, and then it just goes limp. And at that point, the referee doesn't need to check it 3 times. He knows the man is dying, okay? And he just lifted it once, called for the match. I thought it was like a wonderful way to actually end a career, like almost counter to maybe what you might expect out of these sort of retirement matches. So,
and then the two walked up the stage arm in arm. They sat down at the stage, and we faded to black.
If only, yes.
Let's just talk a little bit about the post-match here, because AJ is choked unconscious. So when he wakes up, might have been the best acting of this man's entire career, because he conveys with his face, not his words, of like what happened. Like, he's realizing in the moment what happened when he went out, as Engler is informing him. And he receives this standing ovation as Gunther is taken off, and then he goes to take his gloves off in the middle of the ring and pay homage to Riyadh season. But then, no, and he puts the gloves back on. This whole crowd, I want to say like 75% of this crowd thought he was revoking his stipulation here by putting his gloves back on.
That's what I thought.
No, he instead puts the gloves on so he can give them his hand sign to all 4 corners before making the long walk to the back. I love this. It was so simple, but it was like this crowd, like this was, first of all, this crowd was awesome during this whole match. When he was in the sleeper and just starts hitting the thigh of Gunther, they roared. They were so invested in AJ winning, and then the post-match was excellent. But in all of this, the big winner was the TNA digital team that, as soon as this match ends, uploads The complete history of AJ Styles 3-hour video to YouTube. I mean, there is no one more on top of things than the TNA social team. Just amazing, just amazing. And yeah, I thought this was great. I really thought this was great. And yes, I think this is the end of AJ Styles.
Well, I think so too. And if you are, I guess at least wondering, I mean, he's certainly seeming to let this be feel like the final thing he's doing to his colleagues. And I think if you're expecting that this to be like just his WWE exit, it certainly doesn't seem to be what he's telling the people closest to him. So like, for whatever reason, like he chose to end on this particular day. Nakamura actually did spoil it for us after all.
That guy, dude, he would be like, if I was AJ, I wonder if that's
I'm honestly really glad he did that. And I think they should be too, because it just suddenly made this feel a bit more believable. Now, how would we have felt if like they just kind of went into this match and maybe we didn't have the Nakamura thing? Enough people probably would have still believed it, but making it feel a lot more realistic, that you essentially help them advertise this as AJ Styles' final match. What's still a little bit of a hint of like, possibly him surviving this. So I actually became a lot more engaged as a result, but I thought they provided something that like was on the one hand like kind of understated, but also incredibly like realistic, Like, again, pro wrestling expectation is for this sort of thing to be drawn out, like we just saw with Cena. But to have it just kind of cut off in February, I kind of like the shock of it.
Do you see him showing up on like Raw or something? Do you see them doing like a farewell segment for him or something? Like, certainly they'll do the Hall of Fame with him, but maybe they'll hold off on that. You know what? It actually ties in if he gets beat in Saudi Arabia and he goes into the Hall of Fame in Saudi Arabia next year.
Oh, okay. I guess it would. I guess it would fit. I mean, this is not necessarily somebody who's like made his name in Saudi Arabia.
He has now.
I would feel like people maybe in Georgia would love the opportunity to say goodbye to AJ Styles.
WrestleMania ain't going to Georgia, so
no, it's not. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Like he'll do the Hall of Fame, I'm sure, at some point. Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'll just do it from home. He'll just get on his
Twitch, his son's Twitch.
Yeah,
maybe.
Are we gonna get the Twitch streams back from AJ? Maybe we'll get his true thoughts.
I hope so. I
said, dang it, Shin. What the hell are you keeping a diary for of all my personal thoughts?
Now begins the the podcast career of AJ Styles. Okay, the content creation career of AJ Styles is set to begin.
Yeah. I haven't heard anybody wish me okay. Like, this is the retirement of like a really instrumental voice that I like. It is actually me doing those voices. That's not AJ.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, hey. The only way to follow AJ Styles' career was to debut the 2K26 trailer next.
This is one of the things I skipped, unfortunately. How was it? Was it a good trailer?
Would you believe that I fast forwarded through the trailer? I mean, it looks like a wonderful game. Whether you get the Triple H version, the Attitude Era version, or the Monday Night War version of this game. It looks spectacular if you're into games. I won't be playing this.
These graphics
it looks great.
Amazing.
It looks great.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn.
I don't know what I just pulled up here. You get to play as like what, ROH Punk? Is that it?
Here on commentary, I'm a downloadable character. Night 1, Saudi Arabia.
Oh, goodness.
Phil made amends with the Saudis. He just made a mistake. He woke up in a bad mood. Call my cell phone now for advance tickets in Chicago Ridge at the Frontier Fieldhouse.
That you could never retire.
No, that will live forever. So Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. So once you bring the crowd to a low, let's give them something uplifting, okay? No, we're gonna beat you guys into submission here because we're about to give you the double whammy here, the 1-2 punch. So both make their entrances. Michael Cole says he was speaking to Sami Zayn, and Zayn said that this match was eerily similar to his match in Montreal at Elimination Chamber in 2023. It's like, are you telling me the two matches where you were challenging for the title was eerily similar? What was so eerie about this? I had a title match 3 years ago, and I've got a title match today. Eerie, very eerie. Spooky, one
It's
would
his
say.
way of trying to recapture the magic of that particular evening, I think.
Well, guess what? He was a loser there, and let's get into this match. So Zayn hits a tope con hero early on, and this is his undoing because he injures his back coming down, and that's the target of Drew, who drives it into the apron, works over the back, and tries several times for the Claymore. The first one is caught with a blue thunderbomb, tries for another, and Zayn ducks it. And so Drew hits a white noise off the turnbuckle, allowing Wade to give a shout out to Sheamus. There's no way that guy's at home rehabbing, watching the Royal Rumble. He hits 3 consecutive future shocks. It was at this point, this crowd was very quiet in the middle of this match, and this felt eerily unsimilar to the match in Montreal, where they were at the edge of their seat to see the coronation of Sami. I don't think I won't say one person. I don't think pretty much anyone in this arena thought Sami was winning this title and it happening second from the top.
Perhaps. To be honest, I felt like AJ losing just slightly improved my feeling that Sami could win this one, just to maybe counterbalance like the depression. I also would suggest maybe some of that quietness to come from just the people having still kind of reeling from watching AJ have his last match.
Well, he's down from the future shocks and then is being hit with clotheslines in the corner. And on the final one, Zayn runs back, misses the haluva, and a Claymore lands, but Zayn manages to get his foot on the rope. Drew complains to Charles Robinson and turns around, gets nailed with the haluva. It's a delayed cover. Drew manages to kick out. Then he powerbombs Sami onto the desk, which breaks. And Wade explains to us that these desks rarely collapse. Yes, don't we know it? And Drew yells at Zayn to stay down, do it for your son, and Zayn says, no. And he hits an exploder, goes for the haluva, but it's stopped by a Claymore, and he doesn't go for the cover. Instead, he sizes him up for a second Claymore that Michael Cole calls the death blow, and pins Sami in 16 minutes and 15 seconds. And there, a dejected Sami Zayn was probably as dejected as these fans, as Drew retains, cannot say this was the wrong decision at all. Drew feels really hot as champion. And I've got to say, I don't feel Sami caught that spark. And I find that surprising that when I saw this tournament, I mean, I was pretty confident of this was going to be the match at the end of it. It's like, you've got Montreal, you've got Saudi Arabia. You could really recreate what you had in Montreal a few years ago. I don't think they ever got to that level. And as you guys mentioned on Friday, that throughout the day, they were promoting a face-to-face segment with Drew and Sami. I wonder if that would have made any kind of difference, because I thought Friday required a big emotional promo from Sami Zayn rather than him just being in an 8-man tag that I thought was less impactful than a promo could have been in that situation. But if he was not winning this, I mean, maybe you don't want to go to the well of promising the big win for your son and you're not, now was not the time. But at the end of this, 0-12.
0-12, yeah. I mean, part of it, I think, is the fact that, AJ having his retirement match on the show really kind of took away a lot of the attention from Sami Zayn being, the main character of this particular show.
Yes.
So by the time it came to the show itself, this felt like the match that was fourth in terms of importance among the pack. And, all 4 matches felt decently important, but this was probably the lowest one. And as Neil and I discussed, I mean, it really did even feel like a Randy Orton on both in front of a Montreal crowd and in front of a Riyadh crowd seemed to get bigger reactions than a Sami Zayn at parts. So again, you continue to ask the question whether or not they missed the opportunity, they missed the time with Sami Zayn, who was at his peak coming off of the bloodline. Timing wise, though, that just hasn't really worked out. And you can maybe also say in the time since then, they haven't really done a whole lot to continue to boost his profile to feel like he's a top guy. He's always the guy that's just kind of on the bottom. When Jay was the champion, there was another opportunity to do something with Sami Zayn to make him feel like a main character, and they didn't do that either. They had that US title run, which was something, but ultimately it didn't really elevate him towards feeling like a world title level contender. So you're kind of left with this where, listen, it's not like hope is lost, but I don't think they did enough to get him to that level to make you feel like he's a convincing, viable champion heading into WrestleMania season. I will, though, suggest that, I wonder if there was some thought put into like this scene to be like his version of Cody Rhodes looking dejected after WrestleMania 39, of him, like for people who are only listening, it's just the shot of Sami looking towards the crowd over his shoulder at Drew being the champion in Riyadh. Could they be setting up like Sami's ultimate culmination for next year's WrestleMania? It's possible, but it would still take some work. I just feel really bad if Sami Zayn, like as a promo, he's so good.
The clock is running, man. Like,
yeah, like you're 0-12, like, so I mean,
I
number 13,
think
I guess.
I will not be a stickler if they just decide to rephrase that to say he's winless against Drew McIntyre. I think saying 0-12, like, it sounds ridiculous.
It's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, like I could see delaying it a little longer, but had the audience lost patience, and would the audience still buy Sami Zayn, this long after he's kind of cried wolf about being champion?
Well, for the sake of his son. Maybe his son's going to have to cut the promo.
Yeah.
Daddy, why aren't you a world champion?
Mm-hmm.
Then we had the Backlash Tampa announcement, and then throughout the night, they were showing graphics of all the past winners, and we went through 1999, and there we had Vince McMahon winning the 1999 Royal Rumble. For more on this, the history of the Royal Rumble can be found here on the Post Wrestling YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Into the men's Royal Rumble, the fourth and final match of the show, and drawing number one is Oba Femi, and this guy came out to an enormous reaction. You want to know who the NXT audience is? This crowd. They treated this guy like a superstar, and he walked out and felt and looked like a superstar, and they booked this guy like a superstar in this match. One of the biggest beneficiaries of this Rumble, maybe the biggest.
When it comes to the Rumble, I mean, being a monster, Andre the Giant type of like guy, this is always the best match for that sort of thing. And to wait for Oba Femi to debut in this match rather than just to have him like win some squash matches on SmackDown, for instance, great call, because you couldn't have had a bigger stage or bigger showcase for him than something like this.
Like, what are the odds that Braden Harrington is walking down Queen's Quay right now doing this dance?
I think it's just how he walks now permanently. Yeah,
I imagine so. And number two is Braun Breaker, as we got spoiled on the panel earlier today.
Well, they actually kind of spoiled it last by I guess a mistaken graphic that advertised Braun Breaker as number one, in fact. So they must have changed that partway through and said, "Hey, we outsmarted you guys."
I'll just say this. So on Thursday, I got like a bunch of notes about the Rumble, and one of the things that was told to me was that Braun Breaker will be entering the Rumble number 2. And then that graphic aired on Monday that everyone saw that he was listed number 1. And I believe that to just be some kind of screw up. But that's what I was told on Thursday. And then he ended up being number 2. So I can't explain what the graphic was. It's possible maybe they shuffled things, or I don't know when stuff was locked in. But this was very weird that this showed up on SmackDown. Maybe they let Shinsuke Nakamura run the truck for the night.
Why? What do you mean?
Because he's spoiled.
Oh, that's just his gimmick now. He spoils everything.
He gives away the results of everything.
Well, the effect is still the same, but it's I guess like to give that number one sheen to somebody, you'd want it to be on the guy who can actually promote it after the fact. That
I think it made sense here to make it Oba. And man, were we going to have two very different presentations here of number 1 versus number 2, because first of all, everyone's chanting for Oba on his way to the ring. And as Braun is coming down with Heyman, the masked man in the hoodie is back and attacks Braun Breaker, hitting him with a super kick and then a stomp, rolls Breaker into the ring as the bell rings. And with that, Oba clotheslines Breaker out. This might have been Santino level record breaking, and out goes Braun Breaker in seconds as Heyman is screaming that it was Seth Rollins. So it's the return of the hooded figure. God knows how long we will have this masked figure. I kind of like this, and I will explain why. That number 1, I think that we are pretty confident that it's going to now be Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker at WrestleMania. And they have done it in such a way where they can build this match without physically needing Seth Rollins. But I would take this to be that Seth is, I think they feel very confident he will be back and gets unmasked. But in the meantime, you just have a surrogate here that gets to play the masked figure that's going to screw with this guy for the next couple of like weeks, month or so until Seth is physically ready.
Right. So this is just a stand-in for Seth Rollins, is what
Yes.
you're saying. Yeah. Sure. I guess very possible. Has wrestling done that before? Had like a stand-in person that they would ultimately later reveal?
The Black Scorpion.
Yeah, and that turned out great.
Yeah,
right?
so that's what they've got to. If the end result is Seth Rollins revealed as this figure, and you get to Braun and Seth, do you think this was a good kickoff to it, or do you think that this was too much of a wasted utilization of Braun in this match?
I just don't know if audiences buy stand-ins at this point. Like, we're talking about a time when audiences know everything, right? Like, I feel like very shortly we'll know who actually was like wearing this costume, and I don't know if like they'll if it's Rollins versus Breakker by the end of it, I think it just kind of makes sense. But I guess I don't love the idea of just having somebody like play the role of Seth Rollins in disguise, because it just kind of takes away the immersion just a little bit.
They also just did it too with the Theory tease.
Yeah, and that ended up being somebody else.
Being revealed, yeah.
But I mean, like, obviously, if Seth Rollins will be ready for Mania, Rollins and Breakker feels like a very natural conclusion.
All I'm saying is that if Seth, which I'm assuming is not physically ready right now, and you want to build this match, I think this is a kind of creative way to get to that, given the limitations of what you have. I mean, in some ways, it's not all that different from the situation AEW may be in with Will Ospreay, where it's like, when you want Will Ospreay for Wembley, but you kind of need Will Ospreay for all the lead up to that.
So would the audience accept a masked mystery person who does, like, I don't know, like
there's no one that you can put under a mask that is going to wrestle like Will Ospreay. So they're kind of SOL there.
Like, I feel like maybe if it was like the 80s, you could probably maybe even early 90s, you could have gotten away with something like that. Like in 2026, that feels kind of bold, for the type of like realism that they're trying to advertise in their storytelling.
As I've learned from Francesco Akira, all you have to do is reveal yourself under a mask and people pop. So that's what they're banking on here.
Yeah.
So
I really like this elimination. I mean, okay, like, whatever. Like, let's say it was a mistake. Let's say it wasn't a mistake. Either way, it got people expecting Braun Breaker to be the Iron Man in this particular Royal Rumble. And the fact that he was like the fastest elimination in this Rumble, I thought was a great sort of way to swerve us. And it takes us to our direction for Mania just as easily, if not better.
Yes. Solo Sikoa is third, and then Rey Mysterio is fourth.
So let's keep talking about this a bit more, okay? Because Heyman preceded this by saying, "You want to FAFO with me?" So what is his role in all of this? Could he have had a hand in whoever this mystery attacker is?
That he's working against Braun Breaker?
Yeah, like, and I don't know how that would make sense at all, but like,
I don't think that's going. I think that there is going to be something with Heyman and Pierce, because I think Braun's going to be his guy. I don't think it makes any sense. Like, Seth is coming back as a babyface, and he should be at odds with Heyman after the way he was ousted from the group. So I don't see Heyman working with this hooded figure, but there is the overlying angle with Pierce and the mystery caller as well.
Yeah, but you don't think either Pierce or Heyman were responsible for this?
I think they're going to make it that this is somebody that Pierce is going to like turn a blind eye to, or something. Like, they're going to try to pin this on Pierce, who is going to have some deniability, but this guy is acting with the approval of Adam Pierce. Like, Pierce is fine. Pierce's hands are cuffed right now, and this is going to be the guy that's going to be the vigilante against the Vision and Braun Breaker.
Yeah, we'll see. That's
probably where this whole tangled mess is going. So Rey Mysterio is out. Giant pop for Rey as he comes out. And they, this poor guy, they just age him by Cole talking about his legendary performance 20 years ago in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, had an injury scare on Monday, but seems okay now.
He was okay. Rusev is fifth.
Yeah,
Boy.
No reaction for him.
None.
Like, really showing how far his stock has fallen. And I mean, even after this, what happened to this guy?
Well, he's been gone for a while, too. This was kind of his unofficial return. And so he gets into it with Oba Femi, gets hit with a 619, and then Oba just cleans house. He just sends Rusev out like a bad habit. Then he clotheslines Solo Sikoa out, like totally nothing elimination for Sikoa here. And then there's a 619 to Oba. He no-sells it, grabs Rey by the throat, and he just forearms him out. So Oba has just cleaned out the whole ring. Who's going to stop this man? The answer is not Matt Cardona, who comes out 6th and gets hit with a fall from grace. He's thrown out for the 5th elimination. Then 7th is Damian Priest. And we should mention the stage was gigantic here. And with these intervals, they wanted to keep this match going. So most of these people had to sprint down the ring because the show was going to be double the length if everyone went Randy Orton style down this stage. Damian Priest manages to last the 90 seconds with Obafemi, and then in comes Javon Evans. He is 8th, and he pretty much goes to like the final grouping. He's in this for a long, long time, and he hits an OG cutter, or goes for an OG cutter. It's caught by Femi, and then Evans is hanging on to the rope, and he got multiple elimination teases. Number 9, Mr. Iguana, and not much of a reaction for Iguana. But we did get a reference by Wade Barrett to Jack Tunney's ruling of 1991 banning reptiles from ringside.
Very good. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Damian Priest, in the biggest geek spot of the whole match, takes Mr. Iguana and Yeska and delivers a double chokeslam to them.
Yeah, I've seen way better. Like you can argue maybe just the whole gimmick has kind of run its course for people who've seen it a lot at this point. But like I've seen way better Mr. Iguana spots than this. This was just not even that creative or impressive. And in front of this crowd, who clearly like either didn't care or just didn't recognize who Mr. Iguana was, it was very unfortunate. Yeah.
10th is Trick Williams, who you made me think long and hard. Is this man, has he just done the Nikki Bella turn on SmackDown based on Kathy Kelly's smile? We didn't get a clear answer here.
Yeah, I mean, he came off of that SmackDown interview very much feeling like he's being portrayed as a babyface. Did not insult any sort of heels, like impress the babyface interviewer, charmed the babyface interviewer, I should say. And I don't know if we had any sort of indication coming off of this match either, but he was certainly over with this crowd. Like they've done a great job with Trick, and
oh yeah, they all were singing his song when he came out. Like he, Oba, Trick, like they all got giant reactions.
In both cases, I think like themes that are like very good, and do the job of like engaging these crowds just simply upon first note. So with both of them, they definitely hit it.
So he starts wrestling in his fur coat, eliminates Iguana and Yeska. And then I like this. They had Oba, Evans, and Trick together, who were doing like the 3-way program in NXT, and then all of them get called up. So this is the big giant gap that NXT has in its main event picture. But I like the fact that they did this callback and led to an NXT chant by the audience. 11th is Cody Rhodes, and he comes out. He hits a Cody cutter to Damian and then faces off with Obafemi, calling back to Saturday night's main event. And then 12th is El Grande Americano. 13th is the original Grande Americano with Chad Gable, who has grown a goatee under his mask. And
he's grown a goatee. He's also grown another Chad Gable next to him, because this man is massive. He's even bigger than he was when he first left.
He saw Swerve Strickland and said, okay, I could try that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks...
He looks like twice, the Ludwig Kaiser in terms of thickness here.
Yeah, we got the Spider-Man meme, and yeah, that's what he's coming back for. We do a skin the cat by Kaiser, and he's tossed out, and then Trick just sends Gable out from behind. So that's the elimination of those two. We'll see. I mean, it feels like this is just going to be undercard comedy, even though these two in AAA will probably be like massive stars in AAA.
I would say that this interaction was a little bit disappointing, and the reaction to it was pretty disappointing, considering like Gable prior to leaving. Yes, he was working comedy gimmick, but I think his return should have made him a bigger star. This moment should have been a bigger moment, just considering how long Gable's been gone and how great Kaiser has been doing in this role. I almost wonder like if this was done on Raw instead, if they could have built to a bigger moment than what we had here, which was ultimately kind of flat.
There's a crossroads to Trick, and he's thrown out by Cody. That was the end of Trick Williams. Number 14, we see the graphic, Powerhouse Hobbs, which switches to Royce Keys, as Michael Cole yells, "He used to be known as Powerhouse Hobbs. I've been following his career. And they went deep into the musical archive because off the top, his theme got the diesel harmonica to start his theme. And out comes Royce, and he makes his way out and immediately clotheslines Damian Priest and eliminates him. And we, of course, get him and Cody staring face to face. Yeah. I know you. I know you too. And
they've had history, Cole says.
They've had history. I love this. You know who they're paying homage to.
I enjoyed this. I mean, like they are acknowledging the existence of AEW, even if they aren't, saying the letters. But they are Cody's identity is entirely reliant on the existence of AEW and him coming from this other world,
place.
Right? The other place, sure. So, they're, just basically saying this is a hot prospect from the other company who's showing up here. I have to say, though, in Riyadh, they didn't seem to react that well to him. And I don't know what sort of coverage AEW even gets, like in the Middle East, but I don't get the sense that they were all that familiar with Powerhouse Hobbs. But Royce Keys, by the way, the name of his child and also the last name of his late mother.
Yeah, that's, I'm sure that was like, his input for the name. I thought watching this, I mean, he came out, it's not like this was like make or break, but to me, if you're introducing someone in the Rumble, I much prefer someone like gets the introduction like an Obafemi who feels made after this. And Hobbs just felt like, it was a surprise and he came in, but to me, it's like he gained nothing from this. Like, it's not, to me, it's like he will require like building on TV to tell this guy's story. And they alluded to that about his upbringing and such. I can't say like he made like a memorable splash here in this match. It was sort of, it was the debut. And
you got the entrance, you got the name. And like on this stage, I thought it was like a decent way of like, announcing that we've signed a new person, but ultimately it'll come down to the week to week to see how he gets built.
15th is Austin Theory. 16th is Bronson Reed, and Bronson hits a tsunami onto Javon and then works with Theory, and then Femi is still in this match. He's gone past the 25-minute mark. 17th, Ilya Dragunov, who Wade just says, oh, this guy's absolutely nuts. Perfectly summarizes this guy. 18th, crickets for La Parka, who comes out. And you know what? If you were to tell me, hey, we're going to pick two AAA guys who are going to get reactions, I would have thought Mr. Iguana. I mean, he was the person we threw out. And like La Parka, you don't think about, but this is a really well-known character. This is not the guy playing it that everyone necessarily equates to the character. But you would think just on the history that, yeah, okay, this could work, but it didn't. This was just like Iguana and La Parka just meant nothing to this audience. And it was somewhat, it was interesting to observe that fact that these AAA characters really did not resonate.
Yeah, if Iguana didn't get that reaction, I don't think La Parka would have stood a chance. Who's much lower in profile, at least as a crossover star at this point. Talented as hell, and I think like it shows you that these are the two like homegrown AAA guys that we want to continue to foster and showcase. But in this match, it was probably a poor choice to put him in.
19th is Dragon Lee, and then 20th is Logan Paul. So we have all of the Vision minus Braun Breaker as they would work together here. And Bronson Reed would eliminate Royce Keys with a clothesline. So brief period that he's in, but did get the elimination of Damian Priest. Lee drop kicks La Parka off the shoulders of Reed. So that's La Parka's night for you. And then Reed press slams Dragon Lee out to the floor, and he's gone, and the Vision gang up on Cody Rhodes. 21st is LA Knight, who got a huge reaction coming back after the tsunami on the car by Bronson Reed, so his targets were the Vision. I thought they booked LA Knight like a big deal in this match. Like, he was involved with the big guys. He was with Cody to eliminate Brock Lesnar. Like, I feel LA Knight's coming out of this show with something of significance, that it felt like I thought he was handled fairly well in this return without winning the Rumble.
I think he needed it coming off of like the last time we saw him, which was on Unreal, getting laid out by Triple H and Gorilla for screwing up his spot.
Yeah, he was given a timeout in the corner.
I mean, I'm sure there were some that might have thought like he would have had a chance of even winning this Rumble, being given a similar Jey Uso push. That feels very unlikely at this point. Like, it doesn't feel like he's at all in the top mix heading into WrestleMania. Can he build enough momentum like to maybe get there beyond WrestleMania season?
I mean, this guy, like, we know Cody's not facing Lesnar at Mania, and LA Knight, like, got the elimination on Lesnar. Like to me, like
wow.
that's a big spot for the match of like who was going to eliminate Lesnar.
Well, it was Cody and Knight that worked together.
Yeah, but we're not getting Cody and Lesnar. Like that is not going to be the focus. So
I guess I just didn't sense that it was a personal one-to-one elimination. If they wanted to build Knight versus Lesnar, then they should have just had Knight do it.
They could have, but I mean, like there are certain people that they're going to put thinking into who is eliminating who, and Brock would be one of those guys. So I do feel that was a meaningful spot that they did attach LA Knight to, but time will tell. 22nd is Brock Lesnar, and whatever you want to say, I mean, this place went insane for Brock as he comes out with Paul Heyman, who they tried to allude to like he was giving up on the vision almost. Cody stares down Lesnar, and Lesnar starts delivering Germans. Poor Ilya Dragunov, dude. Lesnar just no-sold this guy's chops and just dumped him over with a lariat, just like yesterday's garbage. It's like, this guy has never seen Ilya Dragunov in his life, doesn't know a thing about this guy. Poor Ilya.
Well, one guy's big, one guy's small, and I'm sure that was the direction.
That was it. You're small. He hit an F5 to Javon. Crowd's on its feet. And then we get the face-off. Lesnar and Oba Femi. And they tease this multiple times. Each time they're saved by the buzzer. And The Miz comes out 23rd. Kind of does the hurricane spot from 2002 where he comes into the middle of Lesnar and Oba and just backs off. And then Lesnar disposes of Ilya. Everyone's laid out. We go back to Lesnar and Femi. The buzzer goes again. Ray Phoenix is out. I mean, he just gets caught by Lesnar and is just tossed away like garbage. Cole asks us, how is it possible that Brock Lesnar gets bigger and bigger each time we see him? How does that happen?
A lot of beef, I suppose, maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little do you know, your body actually starts to exponentially develop more testosterone the older you get. That's how it works. Yeah. You and I are in for some big spurts once we hit our late 40s.
Can we test? Can he do a test to show us?
He doesn't do tests.
No?
Yeah, no, not as a part-time performer. There's an F5 and Ray Phoenix gets tossed out. It would be helpful if he landed in that other place from this F5. Oba turns to him and then sends Logan out, and Logan is hanging on to the top rope. Oba turns his back, and Lesnar dumps out Oba Femi. So certainly they gave you a lot of hints here of Lesnar and Oba Femi, and the crowd was really into this. And if this was the Vince McMahon era, this would be the main event for the next 5 years of WrestleMania.
Sure, yeah. But, I mean, I could see this being more the direction for Brock Lesnar, like for WrestleMania, than maybe any of the other up-and-comers.
Well, do you think it was a missed opportunity not having Oba eliminate Brock Lesnar?
I mean, I think you can get there either way.
You could. I see them doing this match. I just don't know when they do this match. It will depend. It's a question, like, do we see Brock at Elimination Chamber?
Yeah, don't know.
Jey Uso is 25th. His entrance lasted about the length of the women's entire Royal Rumble as he comes through the crowd.
This was one of those where, like, on Unreal, you're going to get a scene from Gorilla of Triple H freaking out and Chris Park in the back saying,
"Oh, I'm sorry. It's a new stadium. I didn't know there were 25,000 people.
Go faster!" You can even see the referee like instruct Jay to just like speed this thing up because they still had to do the play it back deal. And,
fuck! Like, I hate that. I understand the crowd fucking loves it, but I hate the playback deal. Yeah, I hate it.
You could just tell the cameras were following Jay afterwards, where he's probably getting screamed.
It's not your fault, Chris. You're not out there. You told him what to do. It's not your fault. I'm so sorry, Mr. Pritchard. Please tell him. Cody and Knight work together. They clothesline Brock out. This is the big elimination of Brock. I thought this was like kind of anticlimactic because Jay's music is still playing. He's doing his entrance. Brock should not be a, oh, by the way, elimination. And I felt that kind of is how this one came across. Brock's elimination should have been a much bigger deal.
Don't worry, this would be another scene in this episode of Unreal where I'm sure Triple H will have a talking to with somebody. They must have missed the time cue or something because, this is very unlike them to have a Brock Lesnar elimination be so hidden. Unless, like, I mean, I don't know, unless they wanted to understate it.
I mean, it's not like you missed it, but I just felt like, just from a blocking standpoint, like this should have been separate from Jay's entrance. Like, you shouldn't have had music blaring as Brock is eliminated. You could argue that, like Brock might have gotten the biggest reaction of anyone coming out. Like they went insane for him.
Thing is, there wouldn't have been
out.
much space for them to not do something without Jay's music playing, because it essentially played for like 4 minutes, and then you went right from that to Roman Reigns.
Well, then I would have done the spot before Jay came out. That would have been the way to separate it. But out goes Lesnar, and then Jay does his encore into the buzzer, and Roman is 26th. And it doesn't matter how long this is going, this dude ain't running to the ring. Okay, he's taking his
He was walking a bit faster than usual.
Oh man, I don't know.
That was about it. Yeah.
He also got pyro around the stadium.
You can't farm aura from running. Okay, the
right.
slower you walk, the more points you gain.
Hurry the hell up. He does a face-off with Jay, and Roman calls for the encore. I was like, please, God, don't do this. And thankfully, it was Reigns just fucking with him as he attacks Jay. And then we get Superman punches. Miz is tossed out by Roman, and Roman and Cody are left standing, remembering War Games, which we are now supposed to forget, which I don't think was ever brought up at all. Jacob Fatu comes out 27th, so this diverts Cody's attention, who dives to fight Jacob. And Jacob Fatu hit the most impressive pop-up Samoan drop onto Javon Evans I have ever seen. Javon Evans nearly got sent to Jeddah in this pop-up and comes down into the Samoan drop. I was very impressed with Javon in this match. I thought he got a lot out of it. Cody...
The thing is, he's going to impress so many people with like taking moves like this that he's just going to be that guy to make everybody's shit look better, right? And that'll ultimately just make him a guy who's there to lose rather than to shine himself.
Well, that is the risky run. Cody interrupts Fatu and Reigns going at it, and Reigns and Jay hit a 1D onto Cody. Penta is 28th, and Knight ducks a Superman punch, hits the BFT to Reigns, but then Knight lands on the apron, and Cody eliminates him with a springboard dropkick, sending Knight to the floor. 29th, Randy Orton. Did he sprint?
I don't recall, but I mean he walked like Randy Orton did. Yeah.
For the longest time, I thought that Randy Orton, at some point, you want to turn this guy. I don't know if I'm so sure about that. He came back that same night as Punk in 2023, and he had this he just kept getting these incredible reactions week after week. I was like, this is past the honeymoon period of being back. And it's persisted, and both nights here in Saudi, like this guy was among the most over guys. I don't know how quick I would be to necessarily turn Randy at this point in his career, that I just don't think the audience wants to boo this guy.
I think I would rather turn Cody than Randy at this point.
I think the audience would turn Cody over Randy if they were forced to choose between them. They keep singing his song, hits Logan with an RKO, and then there's a reverse springboard by Penta and gets caught with the RKO. I mean, this guy's just going to do this RKO till the end of time, and he will get massive reactions every time. And 30th is Gunther. No Jericho on the show. And he comes out. I love this. He's selling the effects of the calf crusher by limping towards the ring, but not in a comical way either. I thought he really did a lot here to put over like the effects of the match from earlier. And there's an OG cutter off the top by Javon into an RKO by Randy, and Randy gets to eliminate Javon Evans. Penta does his headstand in the corner and gets eliminated. This is the closest we got to like a Mil Mascaras elimination of a guy just doing something stupid and gets eliminated as a result. And we do get the mention of the legend killer in the ring with the career killer in Gunther and Randy. Cody and Orton double him, but then there's a Cody cutter that misses the target and hits Randy by mistake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hate it when that happens.
Just the other day, shopping for my groceries.
Yeah.
Went over the aisle into the produce. Boom.
Yeah.
85-year-old woman.
I slipped an RKO to an old lady. Yeah.
Fatu then sends Cody over, and Cody goes to skin the cat when out of nowhere, Drew McIntyre appears. Claymore to Cody as he's reaching to go over the top and gets eliminated. Either Rumble, this was the best elimination of either match. I thought this was so perfectly timed. It was perfectly shot. I think we're totally getting Drew and Cody. I felt like the way the commentary directed things, I feel Jacob Fatu is going to be, he's going to be some kind of roadblock for either Cody or for Drew at Elimination Chamber. I see this as the match because they made such a focus on Cody can't get another title match. They did this elimination. But anyway, just getting back to my point, I thought this elimination was great. Like, it just came out of nowhere and was so well executed.
For a Sid Hogan style elimination, yeah, it was well done. Mm-hmm.
You hated it, didn't you?
I mean, I can't necessarily say it was like such a standout moment for me, but sure, hearing you talk about it, I can appreciate it a bit more.
Just bathe in my enthusiasm. Reigns then sends Jacob Fatu out, and Jay spears Roman, goes to throw him out, but Reigns reverses, and Jay gets thrown out. He's not going to repeat. So the final four are Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Logan Paul, and Gunther. Logan buckles off a buckshot lariat and gets eliminated by Roman. There's an RKO to Roman, and then Gunther throws out Randy Orton. Gunther applies the sleeper and gets back body dropped onto the edge of the apron. He stops a Superman punch, goes back to the sleeper, but Roman breaks free, spears Gunther, and throws him out in 56 minutes and 10 seconds. This one actually went like 11 minutes shorter than the women's version did, and Roman wins his second Royal Rumble.
Roman Reigns, yeah. Which
both betting favorites.
Favorite?
Yep, both betting favorites win the matches. So,
cool.
If you went with the favorites, you were not necessarily surprising winners in any in either of the matches. But I did think the men's match was a lot better than the women's, and I came out of this with like a lot of interesting directions or at least directions that you can see that I think Mania is a lot clearer, and I think it's pretty clear we're getting Roman and Punk at Mania.
Yeah, because the alternative would be Drew, which could be a destination, but they're teasing Cody really hard. I don't disagree. I mean, Drew and Roman has, I think, a lot of long-term attachment to it as well from Clash at the Castle.
And you've got the story that Cody has to work Cody is not being given a rematch, so it makes all the incentive for him to win Chamber to get there.
Yeah, I guess I just don't know if like I personally have that much more interest in seeing another Cody Drew after like seeing it so many times in the lead up to it. At the very least, like I could see the Fatu, inclusion just to maybe freshen things up a little bit. Like to have that be the Mania match after having already seen so many matches plus 3 stages of hell, feels like it's exhausting a little bit more.
But it does feel like that's where they're going toward. I guess Jacob Fatu is the question mark. I mean, unless you were to switch things. I don't see them taking the belt off Drew. I think this guy is really hot as champion at this point. I would not be switching the belt before Mania.
But Drew Roman still feels fresh to me, and again, like because of the long-term story, like the sort of like crux of this Drew McIntyre heel origin story is the loss to Roman Reigns, right? So for Drew to be obsessed and now want to get that win back from Roman on the biggest stage possible, I think would be like interesting storytelling. Of course, they could also take the belt off of Punk and put it onto somebody else if they wanted to change course. But Punk versus Roman on paper might be like, didn't we say that? Like, isn't that like the biggest, match that they could put on?
I think it's pretty clear after this show that Braun is not in that title picture. And I think that clears the way for Punk and Roman to the point. I know they like to really drag this out. I was really curious with the fact that he was flown over, if they were going to end the show with Punk walking out and ending the show with Roman Reigns or something. But that
would have spelled things out, and they like to take their time.
We've literally got like 11 weeks until Mania, a lot of time to fill. So, pardon the pun, but that ended the show right at 4 hours. Reigns and Femi each had 5 eliminations. That was the most, and then this show ended in the most un-WWE of ways I can recall, because the pyro starts going off. I'm like, okay, kind of standard. And then Linkin Park starts playing. And then we go to the skyline. And I'm not kidding. You got 6 uninterrupted minutes of fireworks and pyro that I just felt with each explosion, I was just seeing like margin decretion, each successive fireworks. This thing went so long.
Yeah, I don't know if this is just some sort of weird mandate from the people that put the show on that said like, hey, like we have like $10 million of pyro that we want to explode.
This felt like our budget. We have to use this stuff, so we're just going to blow everything up at the end. Like, I'm not anti pyro or fireworks. I just like could we have like mixed this in throughout the show or something? Because just felt like we have excess shit to blow up, and we've got 6 minutes of airtime, and we're just going to use that time to give you a fireworks display. Like this 6 minutes is a long damn time where there's no commentary. We have no like shots in the ring, like hero shots of Roman. It's just the Riyadh skyline.
And Slim Seaver here in the chat brings up a good point. This was at 2 a.m.
Yeah, this was 2 in the morning. This just woke everybody up as well. That's like in the middle of sleep before they go to the Ferris wheel the next morning.
Yeah, it was excessive, but this is, of course, a government with a lot of money, and they must think, hey, Pyro will attract people that want to come over here next year.
Just buckle up for Mania next year. You know what we're going to get? Like hologram. We basically had like a hologram of a title in the air. In the sky.
Yeah, sure. Some sort of like drone.
It looked like it. Sure, I don't know what this was. Anyway.
The Rumble match itself, I thought was a good Rumble match overall. I thought the star power was high for most of the match. I overall found it engaging. But I like the women's match finish more than I did this one. I thought there were some highlights here in that, Obafemi was totally the breakout star of the entire thing. Yep. And I thought Trick Williams had a wonderful entrance. I thought Javon Evans also had an excellent showing as well. So like all three NXT call-ups like had really great appearances here. Yep. I thought Rusev was probably one of the more poor ones. Plus,
I thought Rey Fenix was similar. Like him and Dragon Lee just felt totally disposable in this match. Like I know not everyone is going to get like a lot of shine in these types of matches. You have to, you have to pick your ones to focus on, but I thought they all it was sort of just an update of where they are. Because what you see in this match is sort of an unofficial pecking order too, of like these 30 and where they go. And you have to also think at the end of the day, after seeing La Parka and Yeska, how Finn Balor was not able to procure a spot in this Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it said something about maybe like AAA's reach, into this part of the world, and I don't know if it would necessarily reflect poorly on either of the performers, more so than just like again how much people recognize AAA, but maybe it would give them pause to like call them up, for instance. So it tells you maybe what crowds are reacting to. They reacted really well to NXT, the NXT people on the show.
Yes, they did. I think it's also pretty notable, like going through a bunch of these Rumbles as well, that while he's not averse to it, I think Levesque is a lot less intrigued by the one-off surprises that are just there for the pop for the one night. I think he looks at these spots. Number one, you've got a big roster. I think you want to justify if you're going to give one of those spots away for just a pop. And he's looking at NXT talent, that this is going to pay dividends for them to be involved. For AAA, this is a property that we own. Or it's for something that someone's coming back, and this is to either reestablish them like Brie Bella or introduce them like Royce Keys. And I think he's looking at like spots here for people that are going to pay dividends more than just they come in for one night, they get the big pop, and then they're gone.
When you're talking about only 30 spots across the entire company, I mean they're almost too coveted to just kind of waste, sad to say, on somebody who's only here for one night.
And I don't really disagree. I know a lot of people love the throwbacks and the random cameos, but I think we've gone through a lot of them, and I lean more towards this philosophy.
No more Drew Carey?
Unfortunately, Drew Carey not available anymore, but a Hall of Famer nonetheless. So there you go. The post show, I didn't watch the post show, but I did see the clips. There were a lot of Y2J chants when Paul Levesque came out, and he just stormed through it. And if you go to WWE Shop, maybe this is noteworthy, of their new merchandise that they just got up as the Rumble ended, we have a thank you line of merch for AJ Styles. So we're gonna make our coin off my name.
Oh, of course.
New shirt for Royce Keys. New key for original El Grande Americano. New shirt for Brie Mode. And we have individual Rumble winner shirts for Roman Reigns and Liv Morgan in perusing there. So there you have it.
All right, so spend that money.
Why don't you donate to the ACLU or some worthwhile organization out there? The WWE will be just fine without your dollars. And there you go. That is the Royal Rumble 2026. I thought overall, like I don't know what the general tone or reaction to the show has been. I don't think this was like the best Rumble, but I thought that it set up a lot of things coming out of Mania, where I feel going into this, we had less of a clear picture of this year's Mania, and now I see a card where I can see a bunch of different scenarios of where they go towards things, and I thought this at least got things in place. Whether you agreed or disagreed with putting Roman over or not, like you can see the direction that they're going in, and now it's now it is the countdown of 11 weeks until Mania.
On for a 4-match show, you don't come out of this feeling like you were shortchanged really anything. I thought all 4 matches had some level of importance and interest going into it, and
Yep.
I appreciated that. Obviously, I appreciate it probably more as somebody who doesn't sit through the commercials. So if you can strictly just watch the bell-to-bell action, that's how I would recommend consuming all of this.
Yeah. I'm never going to a show again, ever.
Yeah. The Age of Gunther match, I mean, I thought completely delivered. It gave you a significant moment, and I think a very satisfying match with a very realistic feeling and good finish, to boot.
And only the second best retirement match this month.
Did you? Who else? Anyway, maybe not the. Well, I guess being the 31st, it probably is the final retirement match that we're going to see.
Got
Drew,
45 minutes for someone to retire.
Drew and Sami was also, I think, a very good match, even though maybe the outcome not as significant as some of the others. But then both women's and men's Rumble matches, I felt were far from the best we've seen. With this generation of the roster. But they had strong moments, and I thought more importantly elevated the stars that you needed to elevate. In particular, Femi. The women's match less so, but Sol Ruka had a wonderful showing, and I thought the final moments of that match was really strong.
All right, we're going to move to the feedback and hear from some of you. We do have one piece of feedback from someone that did attend the Royal Rumble. We'll hear from Mahmood, but okay. Any super chats to get to?
We have a massive super chat here from JM who sends $150.
Oh my goodness, is that in our currency? Wow, my goodness, thank you very much, Jay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We'll stop
Jay.
the show.
Yeah, we'll only read this very slowly for the rest of the show. But he says, just a token of appreciation from a typical audio listener for all the great work you put into the content you produce. Here's to a new era in post wrestling.
Oh, you got to see this. He's spelled new in all its formations. Wow. Well, thank you very much, Jay. It's a very kind donation from you. We appreciate it very much. We hope we live up to such a nice token.
Very much appreciate that. Thank you so much, JM. And let's go up next to Ryan, who sends $10, who says, I'm enjoying all the content that Post provides. Thank you. After both Rumbles, what matches do you see happening at Mania? Do you want to take the time to maybe line out what are some of the obvious directions that coming off of this show you could see?
I see the top two being Drew and Cody and Reigns and Punk. I see those as the 2 title matches on
Drew,
each side.
Cody, Reigns, Punk. What could they do to freshen up Drew and Cody once more?
I mean, the only question mark is if somehow Jacob Fatu works his way into that. I just looked at the layout of this match and yes, Cody and Fatu, they will continue this, but I didn't come out of this feeling like this is going to be the 3-way program at Mania. And it also begs the question, how would you even get there as well? I would assume both are going to be in the Elimination Chamber, Cody and Jacob Fatu.
I think they could just as easily do the 3-way on an upcoming show. Do they have a Saturday night's main event or something?
No.
Or even.
But I mean, that's the whole story, right? Is that Cody is not being granted a rematch. And that is what he has got to earn. So I don't think you could do Drew and Jacob maybe.
Yeah.
Because you do have Jacob still going for revenge after he was taken out. So
I'll say the one exception maybe being a Hell in a Cell. If you wanted to put those two in that, because both have history with that match type. But it just feels even too similar to the cage match that we just saw with the three stages of hell.
I don't disagree. I just, the way that elimination, I feel like that is ultimately the match. But I don't know what becomes of Jacob Fatu in that whole scenario.
Very curious to see if there's Lesnar's direction for Rumble. Yes, we could perhaps get a night Lesnar thing, but I think Femi Lesnar feels a lot more attractive as maybe some form of passing of the torch match if you want to do that. You could even do a series with those two, and maybe there's interest. Any other clear obvious signs from other match?
I imagine it's not going to be a big match at Mania, but I imagine the Bellas being in some kind of picture, the tag title picture.
Who are you picturing for Liv? We kind of had a bit of a discussion, but Vicaire, you think?
Yeah, I see Vicaire.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
How about on the women's side? Like who
No
would you
Bianca
be?
Belair. No Bianca Belair on the show.
No Bianca
Yeah.
Belair. So
No
that one,
AJ as well.
oh, AJ Lee. Yeah. Becky and AJ Lee, I do
Mm.
imagine that's going to ultimately be the Mania direction. But Becky's got, like, I almost feel this Maxine thing is done. And it's kind of weird that you're going to have Becky and Natty as both heels, but they're obviously going to do something here together. And then AJ will be back. What do you see for Jade Cargill? Presuming, does she hold the belt until Mania? And, like, do you see...
I mean, so much of it is dependent on Bianca Belair in this. Like,
I guess that's true.
Finger injury from hell.
Let's go with the idea Bianca is not coming back for Jade Cargill. If Bianca's out of the picture, who is the big baby face for Jade?
I feel like they're still not that confident in Jade Cargill, like being able to pull off like a singles match on a big stage. Because I feel like we would have seen a lot more of her by now if they were. And I could see the temptation to take the belt off of her just to kind of like get her off the stage so that you could put the belt on maybe more capable, a more capable champion who could deliver. I think the type of lengthier match that you would want out of a WrestleMania. But otherwise, there's really not that much like exciting possibilities if we're strictly sticking to the SmackDown roster for Jade Cargill. Like Charlotte, maybe. Alexa doesn't feel hot enough. Like neither of those feel like great options.
They've done the teases with Rhea on TV, at least with Jade
Sure.
and her backstage. Like that feels like the first time you do it, like they have really protected Jade. That would probably be a big match.
But I kind of see EO stuck with Rhea somehow, whether it be on the same side going for the tag titles or as opponents even.
It feels like they have so many women. Like we've gone from this like lack of tag teams in the women's division, and now it's like you have like Charlotte and Alexa, the Bellas.
Oh, let's not forget Tiffany Stratton. She's around.
Yeah, Stratton's in the mix too. Like there's a lot of, granted you have two nights, but it's I don't know where Tiffany lands. Maybe that will be something that
We could spend a lot more time talking about this,
anyway.
but for now, those are maybe just some of our immediate thoughts. Thank you very much for that, and also I want to welcome Zijan for becoming a new member of our YouTube channel. Welcome here. Let's go to Andrew Brown, who sends $5 to say, with Roman saying on McAfee he wants to make new stars, I will believe when he does it. I don't think he is selfless like Tanahashi. So he's okay. So apparently Roman on McAfee said that he wanted to make new stars. And Andrew has doubts about that.
Maybe he's going to make CM Punk.
I mean, you can argue he made Cody.
He made Cody. He was.
Yeah.
I don't think Roman is like, I understand he had like the lengthy reign, but that was for a reason. And by the end of that story, you got like your giant baby face for this boom period. Like that was his anointment at Mania 40.
Well, what new star would you like to see paired with Roman Reigns? Like we're talking new, not a Drew McIntyre, but like Gunther Reigns. Is that a match that's of interest?
That's a big match that you can do.
Like
I think
level
ultimately
interest?
like Braun Breaker with Reigns. He already lost to Bronson Reed, and it's like he lost to him a few months ago. Like,
what's Gunther's direction for Mania?
Did anything stand out for you in the match?
Well, Gunther Reigns, like being the final two in the Rumble, certainly like.
I don't see those two meeting at Mania.
Maybe not this year, but I mean, this is the year of Gunther. Like they've already put so much behind it.
That's
right?
a really big match that you could go to.
So
I see that being more down the line.
So what for Gunther at Mania? Like Gunther to me feels poised for a main event level type of thing,
Well, go over your top baby faces in this match. Not going to be Cody.
Orton. Is that
Gunther and
enough?
Randy? Yeah.
Like Legend Killer versus Career Killer, and
they did bring that up in the match, and it was Gunther that eliminated Randy Orton in this match.
Yeah,
like maybe that doesn't jump off the page at people, but like Randy's like a really big deal.
Might have to be a
moment.
career-threatening match again. Maybe Randy puts up his.
That should be every PLE for Gunther. He just is going to weed the roster out.
Of course, we got Brock Lesnar and Gunther, which is a match that they will dangle as well. But the question is whether or not that's a Mania or SummerSlam direction.
Yeah, and there were no hints at that on you're saying Gunther and Lesnar, right?
Gunther Lesnar.
Yeah. There were no teases of that in this match. All right, let's go to Jeremy in Texas. Okay, he says second match on the card, a half empty stadium for what I think a lot of people are looking at the stadium. I don't know how legitimate that is, even though that's how it might have looked to people. But
I would have said that about SmackDown, where like some of the wide shots towards the sides in particular, like definitely look like they were empty. But
well, I mean, even if you want to go by WWE's announced attendance, that like it was 18,000 in a building that holds 25. Like they admitted it was not full last night for SmackDown.
Yeah, but I guess like does the $7,000 difference? Sorry, 7,000 people difference look like what it looked like last night? I'm not sure.
Let's also remember when these tickets went on sale, like the queue was just insane. Now I know a lot of people could be buying those tickets and they couldn't resell them on the secondary market, but there was huge demand for this show. And again, I'm going off of like the photos and videos I saw of people in the arena tonight, and it looked like there were people like in all of this, like it looked very full from that vantage point.
Yeah, I wouldn't say half empty myself.
Yeah.
From this.
I thought the booking made sense. I don't think most people will take issue with the Rumble winners, but my lasting memory of this Rumble will be all the empty seats in that pop-up stadium. Whether it's poor oversight or ticket scalpers or some other reason, a signature event like the Rumble doesn't deserve to take place in front of that many empty seats. I'm sure TKO could care less since it got $100 million. I don't know if we know for sure what the amount was that they got this. I can reasonably assume it was more than the standard Saudi show, which is around 50. But we probably will get that disclosure in the future earnings.
Got Andy B, who says Reigns versus Punk feels like a good match to make if Reigns turns up to build the title match. Feels like they missed a trick by not having Rhea and Io in one of the title matches. I love the AJ Gunther match. I think AJ isn't done yet. Okay. You are of the belief that he's done.
AJ? I am. Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. I think like with Rhea, you would figure she'll be. I imagine Rhea and Io end up in the women's elimination chamber. You would think like they could have a really stacked women's chamber match next month, and that's the thing. Like if you have a big disagreement on like one of the Rumble winners, it's like they've got elimination chamber. Like they've got to create 4 winners across the men's and women's title programs, and they do have another show in 4 weeks to do the other half of this, and Rhea could figure in there. Next, we go to Stig. The whole show was okay, but the crowd was so dead, and I hated the LED lights on the seats. It made the place look empty. I'm glad someone made the decision to turn them off in the matches, but then it was just a slew of white squares everywhere. I hope we get an Unreal episode on the LED lights, Paul Levesque directing Jey Uso's entrance. I mean, this could be one for the ages, right?
I don't know if I agree that the crowd was so dead.
The crowd. There were times they were down, but there was a lot when they were up. I would not say this was a dead crowd at all. At all. They were very lively for a lot of big spots throughout the show. Women's Rumble was better of the two. Happy to see Liv get her flowers. I honestly didn't expect AJ to be retired 1 month into 2026. Sami and Drew was terrible, and the crowd clearly thought so too. At one point, they were so quiet, it didn't even seem like they were there. I won't disagree with the fact that it was very quiet. I wouldn't call the match terrible. Men's Rumble was okay. It was good showing for Obafemi. I really think they should do a Lesnar 02-03 style run with him. Speaking of Lesnar, having him being dumped out during Jay's entrance was ridiculous. Cool to see Royce Keys get his debut so soon. Roman was who I thought would win. My daughter, who wasn't even watching, said, I swear I always hear that name just winning, which made me laugh. Yeah. He goes through some matches here. We've kind of gone over different Mania matches here, and he lists ones we've all gone over here.
Matt says, to Stig's point, the lights on the seats did look back, but they didn't make the arena look empty. The lack of people made it look empty. Okay, so, I mean, a lot of people are thinking that these seats were empty. I had a similar thought watching most of SmackDown.
This is going to be the equivalent of, remember that the image of like what color is the dress? That's what this arena is for everyone. I
had a similar thought, again, watching SmackDown and seeing those sort of white squares for the first time. I didn't think that was the case tonight. But all right, let's go. He also says, both Rumbles were solid, a lot of great performances, but I felt like they could have gone further with Femi. Being eliminated by Brock isn't the consolation prize WWE thinks it is. They could have made a start tonight. I thought they achieved that. And
I was very happy with how they handled Obafemi. Like, he got to go long. He tied Roman for eliminate. Like, he's coming out of this, and it feels like he's going to get a big, like just compare him. He feels infinitely of a bigger priority than Javon Evans, and he felt even a lot bigger than Trick Williams in terms of the call-ups. Like he felt like a guy that Cole's calling this guy a future Mania main eventer, a future like champion. Like they put him over really strong.
They didn't even have him lose the NXT championship, which I think, tells you how protective they are going to be of him. And I think like the elimination from Lesnar is going to lead to something at least. That's what I think. Why put Gunther in the Rumble if he wasn't going to win it? It feels like it takes a bit of the steam out from his win earlier in the night if the last thing you remember is him going over the top rope. Do you agree with that? Did Gunther need to be in this one?
I didn't mind it. Like, I think it gave you another believable person that people could have seen winning the Rumble. It was a viable final two with the idea that Gunther could pull off the win. And you know what? When you bring up like the idea of Reigns and Gunther, like I don't see that at Mania, but I do see that down the road for sure. And they also made a big deal out of this being the second time Gunther's been a runner-up in the Rumble when he went to the end with Cody in 2023 as well. But Reigns and Gunther, like that is a big match that I'm sure will get to at some point. So I did not have a problem with Gunther being in the end.
Do you think they should have flipped the order of the matches?
And put what on last?
Like Gunther getting eliminated only to end the night having retired AJ Styles.
I wouldn't have complained if they put Gunther and AJ on last, because I said going into this that felt like the biggest match, but I don't know if I would have.
You can't really do the fireworks after like AJ Styles retires, I suppose.
No, and I don't think they wanted to end on that note. It's hard to go into a 6-minute pyro display after the man's career has just ended. So,
all right,
where they went.
All right.
Let's go to Amit. I found this year's Rumble disappointing from a booking perspective. Things like Brock's elimination felt like a waste of time, and Jay dancing like there wasn't a match to win just took me out of it. But it got me thinking about a bigger issue. Has the Rumble become a victim of its own past? For years, a big part of the appeal was those significant surprises, legends returning, ex-superstars showing up, genuine holy shit moments. But they've exhausted that list now, and when you combine that with the fact that about 75% of the entrants are almost guaranteed to not win, the excitement dies down pretty quick, doesn't it?
That's always been the case, though. What Rumble has had more than like 25% of people like having an actual chance?
Like, honestly, this men's match, you could have, not to say that it was necessarily a slam dunk pick, but like you had a fair amount of like people you could reasonably see as ones to win. Like Roman was very high on people's list. Braun Breaker was very high on people's list. You had Cody, you had Brock, you had Gunther. Some people we went through the different states. There were 2 states that were picking LA Knight to win. You had Jey Uso who just won last year. You had Obafemi in this match as well. Like that's way more than most Rumbles. Like you're not always going to have like a field of like 20. You're never going to have that, in fact. And quite frankly, like I know a lot of people love oh my God, it's fucking Duke Drosy or shit. I don't miss it all that much, to be honest. Like I think we have, to Amit's point, kind of exhausted just about every cameo you can do, and it gets a big pop. But I think they're looking for, like, we can use this match. Remember, last year, the most watched WWE wrestling show was the Rumble last year. Like, in some ways, the Rumble is, like, their most watched show above Mania. A lot of eyes on this, and they want to put it towards the people that we're going to get the most mileage out of. And whether that's NXT or whether that's debuting new talent, that's what they want to use these spots for.
Right. Just to play a counter argument, though, like, can you not sacrifice one of those spots for just some sort of feel-good one-night only thing? If it's the right person.
You could, but I think, like, we're not talking about any of these significant people. You're talking about, well, do we want to put a La Parka in, or do we want to put, just name your random guy.
Savio Vega.
Sure. Like, what are we getting out of Savio Vega for one night? A pop? Their hope was that Mr. Iguana was going to get a pop, and he didn't. So they're at least now on AAA, they can talk about La Parka, and Mr. Iguana made history last Saturday night by joining the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's their philosophy on things. I don't think there's a big deal to it. But anyway, you're up.
We go to Powerbomb, who says, yes, I'm one of those people who held out for a Chris Jericho entrance until the very end. All in all, the show had me whelmed. Nothing about this was mind-blowingly great, but I don't think there was anything to put down either. Everything was good and fine for what it was. It was good and fine enough that I'd feel petty to call this mid. But then again, much of my contentedness might come from these things. One, because of last year, the bar for the men's Rumble practically rested at the bottom, like Lake Baikal.
Same thought, yeah.
I got to watch this live Rumble at a fairly reasonable time without having to be up until the end of the night. And a party wrestling watch is always a fun party. All right. So he, for all those reasons, gives us a 7 out of 10.
Sounds like you had a great time. Okay, we're going to do one more here, and it is Mahmoud from the Middle East. He writes, this may come off a bit cryptic, so apologies in advance. Okay, the last time I went to Riyadh was 15 years ago for a short vacation with my mom before we embarked on doing my first pilgrimage as a Muslim in Mecca. It was an unremarkable city compared to a Dubai or Abu Dhabi. The only thing I remember doing was going to mediocre restaurants, going to random mosques, and staring out the window during long drives. I found it to be a rather dull experience. Now in 2026, I see myself doing my pilgrimage as a wrestling fan to the Royal Rumble. Riyadh is a completely different beast. There are amusement parks, a functioning metro system, arcades in every corner, trendy restaurants for every cuisine, and a tremendous skyline to stare at. Oh, we got to see the skyline. The city has transformed into being this amalgamation of LA, New York, London, and Dubai. I was still really bored. Don't get me wrong, the Rumble was fine. I had a good experience and don't regret coming, but it was hard to feel overly passionate. To illustrate my point, outside the stadium, there was a huge area that served as a WWE festival, and it felt lifeless. There were 50 merch stands, a 2K-sponsored video game area, WWE-themed carnival games, statues of the logos of the big WWE stars to pose next to. It's WWE, the brand, the corporation, the propaganda machine, personified as a public event, and I felt detached. It didn't help that the people around me were eating everything up. Now, to clarify, this is not me criticizing the Saudi fans. I've been to many shows in the UK and the US, and the fans of the current product there would have been just as enthusiastic. I also am sure the Saudi crowd will get a lot of flack online for not filling up the stadium and not being hot, but being there in person, I can attest. That crowd was into the whole show, was ravenous for the big spots, and it seemed pretty full from my view. I'm not against people being into the show or the WWE brand. I'll put it this way. I'm sure part of the reasoning to put Roman over in the Rumble was that it was the most appeasing result to the Saudi crowd. It was the safest option. I fear the future here is being pandered to with only safe options, and worse, accepting that's all we deserve. There you go, from Mahmoud.
Thank you, Mahmoud. Yeah.
I would just say on the Roman, like I would argue, is there an unsafe choice to put over in a Royal Rumble? Like
well, so, but
you're
like
right.
that would have been a very that was a very fan appealing type of result last year.
Yeah, fair enough. I just feel
but
like
it's a risky one. You can call it that.
But that's maybe the only one. Like, I don't know if there would be anyone else that would have been rejected if they had won this. I mean, there would have been like, Gunther would have been a downer to these fans, but that's like in service of the character that Gunther is portraying, not so much a like rejection a la Roman Reigns when he won his last Royal Rumble 11 years ago.
Yeah, I guess I don't know a Saudi crowd well enough to be able to say that they would have like turn on this show if a heel was given that sort of celebratory moment. I at least I don't think so. Not I don't get that
Brock
sense.
is a heel, they would have gone nuts if Brock won this.
I don't get the sense that like a crowd chanting for like Lola Vice, would be the type that would turn on a show for like putting over a heel in the Rumble, right? So what
if they all broke out and performed Hey Ya if Lola Vice won?
They could try to get the rights to that. Perhaps. Yeah, no, this has been a very interesting study of like the WWE in Saudi Arabia for many reasons, but even just to kind of see the evolution of these crowds and like the transformation of them from like what we saw on those first shows to now feeling a lot more like I would say an international crowd, like certainly rabid and certainly even into like thinking and cheering for their own favorites. So it shall continue well into next year. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. The end of the Royal Rumble and news that's just coming down, Way.
Mm-hmm.
Joey Janela's Spring Break, number 10, will feature another retirement match. Will this top AJ Styles? Will this top Hiroshi Tanahashi's retirement? It's the final match for the Sandman.
Oh. Okay. Well, um, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, he may not be executing the high fly flow, but he could be high. The beer will flow, and I will not be flying to go see this.
Yeah. I mean, like more importantly, is this going to be his last entrance? You know, that probably is
No,
more the
he's going to
pressing
do
mission.
that until he no longer can walk. He will.
Got it.
Oh, he's not retiring the entrance. There's no way.
Okay.
There
Well,
you go.
this is a show that's taking place on the Friday. So you can either watch SmackDown, possibly the Hall of Fame, or go see the Sami Zayn's final match.
Okay, those your options are just expanding as we get closer and closer to WrestleMania weekend. All right, we've gone lengthy tonight, but thanks to everyone for staying up with us. And hey, that's not all. If you are a member of the Post Wrestling Cafe, Collision Course is going on as we speak with John Kleinchester and Kate from Montreal. That's our weekly Saturday night program led by Kate from Montreal. They're going over what I think is a really noteworthy episode of Collision featuring Tommaso Ciampa's debut with Mark Briscoe for the TNT title match. And yes, I'm sure we will throw in our 2 cents on Monday when we are back for Rewind to Raw. Again, you have until 6 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday to lock in on the Post Wrestling Cafe. You can sign up for a monthly subscription or get a further savings by going annual. Do it before 6 p.m. and you lock in the lower price for all of 2026. Again, existing subscribers, you're not going to feel the price increase until next year. So you are safe for the whole year. But there you go. That is the deadline extended by Mr. Wai Ting, the generous Wai Ting.
Yeah, I figure people are listening to this maybe on Sunday morning. We're giving you a bit of a chance as well. And of course, we also have 7-day free trials attached to both the regular and double tiers for people who are curious about sampling. And especially those of you who want to sample our double tier, where Neil Flanagan and John Pollock this week talked about the Chris Jericho book, A Lion's Tale.
Yes, a Lion's Tale. That is up now for Double and Espresso members. And coming up later this week, we're going to have a special edition of Rewind Away on the Cafe as we're doing another one of our famous retrospectives. The subject, Shinya Hashimoto. And we're bringing in the big gun himself, W.H. Park, who will join Wai and I for that retrospective that is coming out this Thursday on the Post Wrestling Cafe. We're going to look at a cavalcade of his matches, ranging from Hiroshi Hase, the infamous January 4th, 1999 match with Naoya Ogawa, Toshiaki Kawada, and this will be kind of like a mini bio on Shinya Hashimoto, looking at some of his most famous matches over the years as well. So I'm looking forward to this show coming up later this week. But that's going to wrap things up. Do tip YouTube on the way out by hitting subscribe on the Post Wrestling YouTube channel. It costs you nothing, but man, does it do a number on the algorithm in our favor. So let's outsmart YouTube and the world at large, as everyone here is Team Post Wrestling. And that is going to be all for us as we sign off and say goodbye.